floating, wavy like the ocean. My physical emotions show my spirit as an omen. I'm in motion like the seven seas, connect with men and them who think like Elohim. My flow warm like a sunbeam. My third eye shine red like the waters in your bloodstream. Young king, my tongue shine without a tongue ring. My talking bling bling like it's nothing. Glowing like slick brick chains at its apex. You basic if you want love without the hatred. It's dangerous, having faith amongst the faithless. Just stay in tune with the ancient and amens. Prayers to the dead and those that deserve killing. Your life is a gift, your presence is Thanksgiving. And to the wise, every day is a holiday. And to my enemies, every day's a borrowed one. Black Storm.
Pissed off, miss shit off course. Which way shit's going? Spent too much time in hibernation. Sleep, what went wrong? Things changed from lift off up until the destination was reached. Mind and body weak, gone from the stress on the brain. Lost in the void of space. What does it really takes to stay sane and maintain stability? Is this really me floating in the maze haze of what will I? Could I? Who should I be? Am I destined to weep and cry my life away for all the wrong mistakes I made and take the blame? Damn, this shit is so insane. Just wanna flow free like a river into the ocean. Not headed what for the fucking train. Life would have been disarray. System malfunctioning, made days instead of paydays. Red light blinking, thinking, where's the green? Hoping this is a dream. It only seems to be a nightmare. Scared, pure fear of the unknown. Where's here? Do you know what I mean? Journeys through the galaxies at light speed. Please, just catch me.
Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished.
Yeah, I'm ready for liftoff, like a hooper when it's tip-off. Yeah, I'm ready to score, ready for war. Polishing my floor so I can shine like a diamond in the store. I sparkle like the son of Allah, creating rain, hail, and earthquakes, the God in the flesh. And they say God makes no mistakes. From natural disaster to calm and laughter, I'm balancing the scales like a yin-yang master. Emotional intelligence is energy intelligence. The wise use the mind to align with the elements. Health is a benefit. Treat the body like a temple. They creating viruses to end you. State to state, new mandates are taking place. World's using faith as the government vaccinates. Hard to keep your head on straight in this world of the snakes. Reptilians post as heads of state and Congress. You gotta shine on regardless. Glow amongst the godless, rise in Christ conscious. Free yourself from mental bondage and let there be carnage to the dragon, the beast, and harlot. In Revelation, I got the heart of a gladiator. Lightsaber like Luke and Darth Vader. Training like a Jedi Knight to fight ops to get the crowd jumping like a New Year's ball drop. Let's go!
Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished.
Peace, power, prosperity. Ra Black Storm is in the building. Shout out to everyone who was here on a Saturday night. I know it is, well, it's late for some people, early for others, depending on where you are. Shout out to the West Coast people. Shout out to the Midwest people. Shout out to the people on the East Coast. Shout out to the people across the world. Thank you for tapping in. I see people in the building. Shout out to CN1. Shout out to Holla Vegeta. All right. We got a good show for y'all tonight. Some decoding, some things that I've seen, some numerology we're going to get into. When you come in the building, you know, put something in here. Let me know you are here. Shout out to Legend Archer. All right. As you come in the building, y'all know I'll shout you out. So just put something in the chat. Let me know you are here. Strike that like button. Shout out to the YouTube. All right. I'm streaming for the first time on YouTube. So if you are on YouTube. Definitely leave a comment. Let me know where you're coming from. Shout out to all the new subscribers, the people that have just came in the building. All right, people with new subscribers is coming in. Got a lot of new guests that are going to be coming over the next couple of weeks. Very excited about. It's great to be in company of people that that you feel are smarter than you. That you feel or know that have knowledge that they could give you, and knowledge that we could also bring to the family. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and the thousands of ancestors that are behind me. So looking forward to bringing a new guest on Sunday. I'm looking forward to a lot of new revelations that are coming. A lot of new alignments are being made as I follow my purpose. And I'm just excited to continue bringing y'all great content and bringing y'all, most importantly, things that'll help you achieve your purpose, help raise the vibration on the planet by you raising your vibration, and following your heart to the best of your ability and doing your best to become your best, right? This channel is for spiritual enhancement. I talk about the occult. I talk about quantum physics, quantum mechanics. I talk about the esoteric. I talk about the occult. I talk about uh, nature. I talk about human psychology, right? I run the gamut. This is not a pro-Black channel. I want to make that clear, right? This is a pro. My ego is not in being pro-Black. My ego is being pro-truth, pro-justice, and pro-equality. I had a comment in one of my things that's talking about, anti-Black. There's channels for that. I'm not knocking it. If that's you on that anti-Black, I've been there. I was once in that type of psychology where I felt like I was a victim of things because I was Black. Then I realized it was more important for me to compete, right? It was more important for me to develop my inner strengths. It was more important for me to develop my inner power so that I could be competition to those that I felt were so-called oppressing me or so-called victimizing me or so-called hurting me, right? This channel is for truth. That's where my ego lies, in truth, right? And there were people from all different cultures and walks of life that bring truth. It's amazing to me sometimes, when people talk this thing and put you in this pro-Black box, but yet they go to work for Caucasian people, right? They pay their taxes to the government, to the IRS, which is ran by Caucasian people, right? They want that check from Caucasian people, right? And reparations. I'm not against any of those things. I'm not against any perspectives. But as Hollow Vegeta said, shout out to Hollow, I'm not going to get caught into a trap where I'm put into a Saturnian cube to where I am limiting myself. I am limitless. I am not one thing. I am not in one box. This channel is focused on spiritual, personal development. All right. Elevating yourself spiritually and personally and doing the work. And I use signs and symbols. I give you techniques. I give you spells. I give you whatever that I have used and whatever the downloads I get and the inspiration that I get from spirit and my ancestors to present these things to you, right? There are people all over the world now that are waking up from all different cultures and all different walks of life, all different classes and creeds. And we have to understand that even when I was a God body, right? Nation of Gods and Earths, who teach that the white man is the devil, right? They also teach that we are here to civilize the planet, to be people that are here to civilize the planet Earth, right? So our job, those of us that are melanated, and as I come in this avatar as a melanated person, is to show people what it is to be an honorable man, to be an act and live as a king, as a God body, and to develop myself to the point where I am the example of that, where I am carrying that essence and that presence with me as I walk along the earth. It's not to be, I'm not here to fight the government. I'm not here to fight against white people. I'm not here to be caught up in somebody's box or somebody's psychology or way of thinking, right? I'm apologetically Black. Let me say that as well. I'm apologetically Black. I know my history very well. I know my culture very well. I know my ancestors very well, but I've also done readings, right? I've done past life regressions. And as people grow along this path, you'll realize that you weren't always in this melanated skin. You weren't always so-called Black. You weren't always so-called white. You wasn't always so-called Hispanic, Asian, so forth and so on, right? We come in different avatars for different experiences and for different ways of experiencing the world. Of course, do I want people that have been under the duress and the stress and the strain and the trauma and the unique, very, very unique experiences that we've had created beings. Yes, this is why I'm here, right? They're in this melanated avatar, in this life, bringing this consciousness and bringing this truth as I see it, right? If I I wouldn't be in this particular vehicle if I wasn't meant to experience the traumas, the stress and the duress and the oppression and the things that have come upon my people. But my job and your job, if you're a melanated being or whatever your culture is to transmute any limitations, any boundaries, any boxes that people try to put you in, and realize that you are the all. Arm, leg, arm, head is a lie. Doesn't say just black people, doesn't say just white people, doesn't say just Spanish people, doesn't just say just women, doesn't just say just men. It is the all. We are one with the all. So I just want to say that before I get into this. Now, don't want to take too much of your time. So let's get it started. Again, if you're here, drop a comment, hit that like button, and we are going to get into this. All right. So let's get it started and let's look at some of the current events. Y'all know how I do. So we're going to get into a little bit of what's been going on recently. All right. So let's take a look. All right. So part of the sun, let me make sure I can see. All right. So, yeah, okay, y'all there. So part of the sun has been broken up and formed a vortex. All right. So if you look at the top, you'll see right here, this is the vortex they're talking about. So why am I talking about this? Because we are part of the Netaru, or the natural. The natural comes from an Egyptian word called the Netaru. The Netaru are natural deities, all right? So when people are working with the Loa, or when people are working with Orishas, right, which are what you would call, for lack of a better term, gods, right? These are also parts of your inner psychology, all right? So when you're talking about gods or deities, we don't want to look at it from a Christian perspective, right? Where we're looking at things outside in some other realm, right, that we have to basically worship, right? We are developing these qualities in ourselves. So when we're working with certain deities, lighting candles, burning herbs, bats, things of these natures in order to enhance our own electromagnetic field, right? This is not, we're not waiting for Jesus to come, but we're using magic and occultism and the esoteric thoughts as for come, or we're waiting for Horus to come, or we're waiting for Ogun to come, or we're waiting for Obatala to come and bless us with not something. No, this is how people get manipulated. This is how you get caught up in purchasing things from people. This is how you get caught up in occult-like behavior, because you're always waiting for something outside of yourself to come and help you. It is about developing your own spirit, raising your kundalini, raising your vibration, raising your energy, and your electromagnetic field is electric and magnetic. So it brings, so when we're talking about magnetism, I'm assuming everybody can hear me. I ain't see no comments or everything. So when we're talking about this vortex, right, and the sun energy, with this vortex coming out, this means that there is a portal opening, right? It means that there is a portal. A vortex of energy is basically a circling spiral, right? And when we're talking about spirit, spirit is a spirit spiral. So this circling of energy, or this vortex of energy, is basically us coming into the understanding that when this fire is coming, or this vortex is coming, the that is in place right now, it is basically spitting out, the sun is spitting out energy, right? Now, one of the things they talk about when they talk about this type of thing is they are talking about X-rays, right? X-rays come from the sun. And, it said this is a polar vortex. Material from the northern prominence just broke away from the main filament, is now circulating in a massive polar vortex around the North Pole, right? So the North Pole is up, North Pole ascension, right? We're talking about higher energy, right? Higher frequencies of energy, right? And the sun is a planet of, or not a planet, a star of fire, right? So this fire or fiery energy is a heat, right, that is rising. Okay. So we all know in our bodies we have heat that is rising, right? But if you don't do anything with this heat energy, right, you're not really doing anything. If you're just talking about it, then or commenting on it, then nothing will happen. And we're going to get into a little bit more of what this heat energy is about and how we could generate this and become one with the netaru or the natural, right? So these talking about these atmospheric dynamics above 55. So 5 plus 5 equals 10, right? But when I see 55, right, I also think of 5 fingers, right? Or 10 fingers, right? Which means actually doing something, right? Actually doing some work, right? You have 10 toes, right? So five toes, right, on both legs, right? So there's a actual connection between this planetary event and you, right? You got to move with 2 feet, right? You got to do things with 2 hands. So when we talk about these connections and we see these numbers, right, there's also always a significance when we're dealing with this polar vortex. And the thing I like about this particular video is if you look, you'll also see right here on the right, you see this little spark of flame coming out. All right. Right here on the right, you'll see the spark of flame just pop out. But they're talking about this polar vortex. But I said, this is interesting, right? Why they're not talking about this flame that's shooting just outside the sun? So this energy is now part of us, right? When the sun is in an event, we know the earth is nurtured by the sun. So when these type of events happen, it's really just a part of us coming to an understanding. But there's also more solar events that's been happening. Let's go into space weather. Those of you who've been with me for a while know this is one of the things I love to talk about. Space weather is something I look at a lot. And we're going back to February 9th, all right? And February 9th has a significance that we're going to get into later, right? And I'll show you the significance as we get into this. But if you look, right, it's talking about, and it says, and again, I thought this was great when I saw this. Like, this is like, again, there's no such thing as coincidence, only confirmation, synchronicity. So this solar flare energy, it says there's a 55% chance of M-class flares, right? So 55 is in play again. So again, signs and symbols, when you're looking at these things, you're looking at the news, you're looking at events, and you're looking at numbers, right? You want to see how they relate to you. You want to study numerology yourself, right? I can only give you so much. YouTube can only give you so much. You have to do, as I call it, your wax on, wax off. You have to do your own studies and come into your own understanding of this. This is the only way it'll make sense to you. And this is the only way you'll be able to see these synchronicities, right? So they're talking about these sunspots that are happening. But not only that, right, on the 9th, they're talking about strange tides in the plasmasphere, right? So I didn't even click on this. So let's click on it together. But it says tides are one of the oldest phenomena known to physics. Ocean waters rise and fall like clockwork in response to the gravitational pull of the sun and moon. Now, also, one of the things that came to mind, that's coming to mind now actually, is remember they said that the earth was remember they said that the earth was going backwards, right? The earth's core was spinning backwards, spinning in another direction. So I'm seeing this and I'm like, yeah, the earth's core is spinning in another direction. So it's like, you know, with the earth's core spinning in another direction and this interplanetary, so now we have the connection between the sun and the earth, right? So this interplanetary play, right? Now the star and the earth are in play. There's a lot of energy that are hitting the planet. And not only that, we're under a waning moon, right? So a waning moon is a time where you're kind of getting rid of things. And okay, thank you, Legend. Legend said I'm good now. Okay, I appreciate that. That I was choppy, all right. And I appreciate that. Yeah, and then Hollow said, does the poles equate to nodes? Yeah, when we're talking about the north node and the south node in astrology, right? The north node deals with your purpose, right? One of the things that you want to learn while you're here is what your purpose is, why are you here? And the north node gives you an indicator of why you're here. Your whole birth chart really does give you an indicator of why you're here, your astrological birth chart. which you could go on astro-seek.com to get a free copy of your birth chart. It breaks it down into pieces, and you want to look at your north node, right, which represents what you're here to do, and you want to look at the south node, which represents what you're kind of here to learn from, right? Also, it indicates details of your past life, right? So a lot of people say they don't know their purpose. I always say I don't really believe that, right? For near years, I knew what my purpose was. I knew my purpose was to do this type of work, but I also know that I was running from it like a motherfucker. I was running from it. And the reason I was running from it was because I did not want to do the work. Okay. I did not want to do the work. So yeah, being 10 toes down with the work, right? Being 10 toes down in what you profess you want to be, right? Look, and it may just be you being the best farmer, right? Everyone wants to be a trillionaire because of this capitalistic society that we live in. But you may just be the best artist, right? You may be the best candle maker. You may become the best writer. You may become the best scholar. You may become the best clothing maker. You may be whatever your purpose is, right? It's still up to you to seek within, all right? To seek within what that is. And the only way you're going to do that is to be in tune with yourself. So you have to start asking yourself questions, all right? Legend said, I'm actually seeing north is actually south and vice versa, and that's just me. So whatever your interpretation is, that, and if that's what you're into, and again, this is, Rob Blackstorm's way is Rob Blackstorm's way, and I am not anyone's guru, right? There's a good movie, I forget the name of it, man. When I get it, I'll show it to y'all probably next video because I think it's important to talk about. We're going to start doing movie nights too on this channel, right? Once I get the membership up, we're going to start doing movie nights on this channel. But there's a good movie about gurus and following gurus. And in this movie with this Indian dude where he was following a particular guru, right? I think it's called Kumar. I might be wrong, man, but there was a shout out to Hollow. He said flip mode is the greatest, right? Shout out to Hollow for that. But there's a movie about this. And I've heard some of y'all feedback, so I'll be lighter on the sound effects as I go forward. So shout out to y'all for the feedback. I'm gonna do a poll eventually, but I'm gonna be lighter on these sound effects. I know some of y'all don't like it, right? Especially when I have guests on. But there was a movie, a particular documentary with this Indian guy, sounded like a Sadhguru type of character, right? Sadhguru's Indian mystic on YouTube, right? And he's basically kind of popular right now. And he was basically a documentary filmmaker who put on a lot of clothes, made himself look like an Indian mystic. I was just teaching people basic spiritual precepts, and people started following him. And at the end of the documentary, he was like, look, I'm just a regular guy, just like you. People got mad, people got offended. But people, as he was doing this fake guru, right, he was actually helping people. People were actually growing. People were actually learning. People were actually transforming, right? So the main, man, I wish I knew the name of it, man. It would be great for y'all to watch. But I'll get it for y'all, I promise. Even if I got to put in the comment section, I will. All right? But the main point of that story is you have to learn to become your own guru. And that's what this particular doorway, and that's what this particular video is going to be all about. All right. So shout out to whoever put that heart on Facebook. All right. So let's continue going into what I was just talking about. So let's look at this video. I haven't seen it. So let's see what they're talking about. Let's see what's going on in the plasmasphere. All right. So it's interesting, right? This is the moon right here, right? You see it's moving counterclockwise. Let's play this again. All right. And this is the earth right here, So they say the plasmasphere is a lopsided donut of cold plasma inside Earth's magnetic field. It's created by a leakage on the top of the Earth atmosphere, the ionosphere, right? So when we're talking about plasma, there's 4 states of matter, right? And the 4 states of matter are solid, liquid, gas, and I don't know, Legend. I can't even tell you what believe it's called Kumari or something like that. Man, actually, let me see something. Let me see if I could pull it up. Let me see if I could pull it up real quick. Bear with me. Yeah. So let me show you right here. So this is the film. It's called Kumari. All right. It's actually on Tubi for free. All right. So if you got Tubi, right, it's on YouTube. I don't know if it's free, might be on YouTube, but Kumari is the documentary. Very good documentary about following people. All right. About following people's philosophy. And he said he traveled to Arizona, which is interesting because the Super Bowl's in Arizona. So shout out to Synchronicity for me, this coming into my consciousness. Shout out, shade to my ancestors, Amen, Ryan, Amen, to them, to travel to Arizona to spread his made-up philosophy. So this is a very good movie about following people, right? About being a follower and how dangerous it is to be a follower. And we're going to get into that as we continue. So appreciate you forcing me to kind of look at that, Legend Archer, right? Shout out to you for that. But yeah, so we're looking at this particular plasma. There's 4 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma, right? So plasma is considered the hot form. So this is what's been happening, right? They're saying that it's strange, okay? And there's a lot of strange things that's been happening recently. Let me bring this up, which I think will be interesting. Something I noticed when I posted on my page today on my Instagram page, which I'm bringing out to. I didn't plan on doing this, but I think it's important. The spirit's like, yeah, show these niggas, show these niggas route. Show 'em, all right? Not from my ego, but from my spirit, right? So let me show y'all. This is not what I want to show y'all. Let me show y'all my page. Give me 1 second. See if I could pull it up on my profile. All right. And all right. So let me show y'all. So it's a lot of strange things that's been happening in the air. All right. So as I put here, unidentified flying objects have gotten shot down in the air 2 days in a row. Okay, including today, along with 2 airport incidents twice this week. They also released the trailer for the movie Air yesterday. So we're right now, the sun is in Aquarius. So Aquarius is not a water sign. It is a water bearer, but it's an air sign, even though it's the water bearer. So when water turns hot, right, when it heats up, remember, we just had this polar vortex, right, coming out of the sun, but the sun, we all know, is hot, right? And we had this plasma incidence that's surrounding the planet Earth, right, where the plasma is changing, right? So my advice was to be careful what emotions you put in the air. Let the old go and nurture those you want to the air. Perfect weekend for music, dance, ritual, spirit baths, and candle magic. So pay attention to the signs and symbols. So, the U.S. jet shot down an object flying over Canada, right? We all know that they had the balloon thing last week, right? Some people are saying that it was an alien, right? Who knows, right? I think that maybe was a hoax for what's really happening, right? And this happened today. So that there was an object violating Canadian airspace. They didn't say what it is, all right? So this could be, who knows what came out of the sun, right? Who knows if this particular solar event, right, if something came out of the sun and they're not telling us, right? We know NASA is not telling us everything that there is. Hopefully people do not believe what they see on the news 100% and use their own third eye to see what's really going on, right? So this was yesterday, Friday, right? This U.S. shoots down another high altitude object over Alaska, all right? So this incident came less than a week after a U.S. fighter brought down the Chinese spy balloon, all right? So this was just yesterday, right? So Alaska, Canada, right? They're not saying what it is. Also, there was an American Airlines jet, all right, that collided on the taxiway at LAX, leaving 4 hospitalized, all right? So this jet and this bus collided. So this was today, right? So this was a lot of air events that have been kind of kooky this week. Southwest and FedEx jets came within 100 feet of collision at an airport in Texas. Okay. So again, these are just more air type of events, more Aquarian type of events with things clashing, things going awry, things that we haven't seen, unidentified objects, right? Unidentified flying objects, right? We don't want to go into what it is. Y'all that follow me already know how I feel about the aliens coming to save you. And if the aliens do come, then the best bet is to be at a high frequency so that you can interact with them, because they are coming from, if aliens do come here, don't expect them to come necessarily in ships. And this could all be a hoax, right? This could all be something that they're telling us. This could all be something that they're putting together, right? Canada and America, they have strong ties, right? All these air events could be planned so that they could do something. But it was interesting because also yesterday they dropped the Air trailer, right? Talking about Michael Jordan's, right? And Nike getting Michael Jordan and how it basically led to the success of Nike, right? So we have now this Air trailer. So again, there's no such thing as coincidences. When things sync up, right? They are meant for you, what they call deja vu. It's not just something you should dismiss. You want to look at it and see, okay, how does this all make sense, right? And how does it, most of all, not to be scared, right? Not to be scary and not to be nervous, but how do these things relate to me, right? How do these things make sense for me? What perspective am I getting from learning about all these things, right? What is it that it is trying to show me? And ultimately, when we think about air, we're thinking about uh, thoughts, we're thinking about ideas, and we're thinking about spirit, right? Spirit means breath and wind means air. So when the sun is doing something like this, right, it's literally spitting out solar wind, all right? Solar wind. So they said there was a chance of flares. We see the plasma, right? Plasma is heat, is warmth, right? You also have blood plasma in your body, all right? So if this is happening to the earth, guess what? This is happening to you, right? There literally is a physical transformation in your body, okay? I want to say that again. All of our bodies are going through an upgrade, okay? Not only just because of these solar events, right? But the body is through an upgrade because of just the time that we're in. We're in a 7-year, right? We are in the age of Aquarius. Things are manifesting, and we have to not only take heed, but we can't ignore. I don't know. I hate when it does that. Hold up. Give me 1 second. My screen just stopped sharing. But 1 second. But we can't just ignore these things that are happening. So this was the 9th. Let's go to the 10th, which was yesterday. Let's go to the 10th, which was yesterday. And so what happened, right? Active sunspot AR3213 exploded. Let me make sure y'all can see. All right. Active sunspot AR213 exploded during the early hours of February 10th. All right. So in the morning, basically, or really in the middle of the night when people were sleeping, right? So the solar flare exploded, right? It says an extreme ultraviolet movie. Ultraviolet is the highest level of the electromagnetic spectrum. So when we talk, well, it's ultraviolet rays and then X-rays, right? So ultraviolet also corresponds to the crown chakra, right? Downloads, right? Ideas. I don't know. We're going to talk about dreams later. I don't want to be on this forever, but it says that this was a blast on the and it says shock waves like these usually lift the CME, coronal mass ejection, right? We just had something called the corona. I don't want to say the word, but it ends with virus, right? In 2020. So this ejection, right, coming out of the sun's atmosphere. So this was on the 10th, right, where this solar, and so again, more solar events, more heat, more light. Light is information, all right? Light is information. Light is perception. Light is your ability to see. Even when you're in the dream world, all right, and you are dreaming and you have a lucid dream, there's light, right? You could see in your lucid dream, even though your eyes closed, even though you're not technically in the physical body, so to speak. You're on a different plane. You're literally in the astral plane, right? And you're dreaming and you're seeing things. There's light. So light is information. All right. So the more light, the more information. And this information is trying to cause you to change something. Let's look at February 11th, today. All right. All these solar events, right? So boom, another sunspot. Boom. Said had a beta, gamma, delta. Okay. Gamma waves. All right. Gamma waves always remind me of the Hulk whenever I see gamma waves. All right. Gamma waves are also high frequency waves on the highest belt of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? You see the colors right here. All right. They look just like chakra colors, right? They look just like the rainbow, right? The rainbow is produced when light hits water vapors. That's how a rainbow gets produced, when sunlight hits water vapor. So the water vapor you can't see when you're boiling your water on the stove. You can't see the vapor rising up, right? You can't see it at all. But if you had the right amount of light on the water vapor, you could actually create a mini rainbow. And sometimes, depending on how hot the day is, right, you might even, as the water's boiling, you might see them. I've seen this myself. You might see a mini rainbow over a pot of boiling water when you're boiling tea or something like that, right? So again, so this is a solar flare that happened today, all right, 1548 universal time. So extreme ultraviolet radiation ionized the top of the Earth's atmosphere. So today, these last 3 days, these solar events have been happening, all right? They've been happening, and it's not a game, right? It's not a game right now. What's happening? You really have to tap into who you are and what you're supposed to be. There's a reason all these events are happening in the air, right? What are you thinking about? What is your ideation? Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to manifest, right? All these things are things you need to be focused on, and focusing on what your purpose is. And with the heat is energy. So what are you using these hands and feet to do, to create, right? Let's get into something. Let's get into the slideshow, right? I'm excited to present this, and we will, I'll show you better than I could tell you, so to speak, right? So we all know there's a lot of things that's what happened in the NBA and things like that, with LeBron and things like that. A lot of trades, right? So let's get into it. Let's pull this up. Shout out to everybody who's here. Smack that like button, all right, as we get this started. All right, so let me make sure y'all can see. All right, y'all can see. All right, and you'll see how all these pieces with the solar event, right? This king energy that is in the air, right? This K being the 11th letter. So let's go. All right. So this happened on the 38th day of the year, right? LeBron passing a 38-year-old record, right? So we have the number 11. The number 11 is a window, okay? 11 is a doorway, okay? So when the baby is born after 9 months, what happens, right? After 9 months, the baby is dependent, right? It comes out of the womb. It's literally a representative. Now, all babies, of course, aren't born 9 months to be exact, right? That's obvious. But on average, most babies are born around a 9 month period, right? Cats also have a 9 lives, right? So this 9 month period represents birth, or represents something new. Now, after that happens, you go to a number 10. Why? Because now the baby is depending on the womb. The zero energy represents the womb, or represents the portal, right? So the baby is the 10 is representing of the baby being dependent on the mother, right? But after a time period goes, the baby starts walking, right? The baby starts crawling. The baby starts goo goo gaga, and the baby starts talking, right? Things like that. So after a time, the baby becomes its own little individual. Okay. Anybody who has kids know, right? After, like, when they hit one, right? It's totally different than when a baby first comes out the womb. When they hit that 1-year-old mark, right? They're usually talking, right? They're usually walking on their own. Some babies take a little longer than others, right? But most of the time, they're usually, especially nowadays, right? Kids are growing up very, 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 very fast. Very, 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 very fast. So babies are usually walking, right? They might be saying a couple of words here and there, right? So the 11 is a representation of that new personality, that new life, right? That new doorway, that new entranceway, okay? So K is the 11th letter. And even if you look at 11, right, it looks like a doorway. Okay. It looks like you're walking through a doorway. So K is also the 11th letter in the alphabet. As part of the nations of gods and earth, what they taught me was that when we're talking about the letter K, it means king or kingdom, right? So it all lines up when you look at the math of him doing this on the 38th day, right? And him achieving this feat, right? With him being called King James, right? Everybody calls him King James, right? Now he's become the number one scorer, and you see the math, right? Scored 38 at 38 to get to 38, 3888. Now Kobe's number was number 8. All right. Remember, Kobe's number is number 8. He's playing the Lakers jersey. Kobe is probably the most popular Laker. Remember how big it was when Kobe, those of us who are non-NBA fans, or even if you're a casual NBA fan, you know that Kobe, when he passed Kobe, right? Shortly after he passed Kobe's scoring record, he died. We're going to get into that a little more shortly. And LeBron is wearing number 6. There's 6 38s, right? So we got 38-1, 38-2, 38-3, 38-4. On the 38th day, 5 passed the 38-year record, which is the record that Kareem was holding. Let's go. Go to the next slide. So LeBron scored 29 points, okay? Scored 29 points when he passed Kobe Bryant. And he passed Kobe Bryant's scoring record. So again, that's the number 11 right there. The name LeBron James has 11 letters. All right? So these numbers keep popping up. Again, when we're talking about synchronicity, there's no such thing as coincidence, only confirmation. There's no such thing as deja vu, as it's just something to be randomly looked at. You want to look at the signs and symbols and see how they made sense, right? So even the score, when he scored, right, when he passed Kobe, right? This is Kobe right here, the 4th, right? LeBron James passed him, right? The number, right, that he passed him, right? 3 + 3 is 6, right? If you add 6 + 4, 9, 14, it adds up to 5, okay? 6 + 5 is 11, all right? 70, its score was 74-56, right? The Lakers were losing. They lost this game just like they lost when he beat, just like they lost when he beat Kareem's records, the Lakers lost. When he passed Karl Malone, who was number 2, the Lakers lost. And when he passed Kareem, the Lakers lost, right? So there's an element of selfishness in this, right? Nothing wrong with him being selfish and wanting to pass these records, right? And wanting to achieve. Also, this relates to life. And how this relates to life is, in life, you have to have a level of selfishness when you want to become who you are, when you are trying to achieve your purpose, right? There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you doing what you need to do for you. There's nothing wrong with you saying, nah, I can't be with friends. Nah, I can't do this. Let me give you a real-time example, right? Valentine's Day is coming up, right? I got a couple of offers to hang out this weekend hang out specifically today, Saturday, right? And, tomorrow's the Super Bowl. I want to watch the Super Bowl. Based on my predictions, what I see, the Chiefs are going to win, right? Based on how I see everything playing out in the colors, right? The Chiefs are going to win, right? But I had a couple of offers this weekend and to hang out with some sisters, right? Or some from the past and things like that. Some very aggressive, right? Very aggressive, very enticing offers, right? I'll say that. Very enticing offers. And what I said to myself was, nah, I want to put this video together, right? I had to get this information out. So I had to sacrifice, right? My pleasure, right? My physical pleasure in order to bring something spiritual to life, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Now, am I going to say I'm always going to be shutting people away or saying no, right? But sometimes it's more important, right? Do you take the vacation or I think Divine Feminine Works was saying this before, right? You may have the boys or the girls you want to go on vacation, right? But you know you need to be at work. You know you need to make a certain amount of money. You know that there's more better responsibilities, right? Now, do you go on vacation and let your responsibilities suffer? Or do you stay and work and take care of the family for a better future down the line, right? We have to be more future oriented. And that's what being selfish is about. Being selfish, it may offend other people, may piss other people off, and may make other people not like you, right? And there's nothing wrong with that if your selfishness is guided towards you becoming the best version of yourself, if you becoming the highest spiritual manifestation of who and what you are. And if that work is needed, you got to enter the doorway, right? You have to make a step towards the doorway. You have to use your energy, your electricity to make that physical step and say no. Nothing wrong with saying no. People don't like when you say no. People don't like when you have a different opinion. When you're following your purpose, you're going to lose people, right? You're going to lose friends and family, right? Things may fall apart. That's part of the journey, but you have to embrace that, right? We see the situation with LeBron. There was an issue with Anthony Davis, right? They were saying, oh, he didn't stand up, right? He didn't stand up. And they're saying, oh, he didn't like that Anthony Davis was like, yo, I'm just mad that we're losing, right? I'm just mad that we're losing and we lost the game, right? That it was all about LeBron. There's going to be people that are like, and he didn't say that he was mad they were all about LeBron, right? But he was mad that they were losing. There's people in your life that are going to be like that, right? They're going to be mad when they see you winning. They're going to be mad when you're doing things in order to achieve your goals, in order to get to where you want to go to. If you watch that game with LeBron, Kareem, you'll see that Russell Westbrook, right? He really was trying to sabotage LeBron in the scoring title, right? Westbrook was doing everything in his power to make sure to try to sabotage LeBron's night, right? There's people like that. There's haters. So this is just a metaphor for life, right? Continue moving forward, right? Continue following your purpose, right? Even if you got to shed people, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's keep going. So the 11, right? 74, another 11, 56. So these numbers, and also 13, the 12 zodiacs, right? Or the 12 cranial nerves, Jesus and the 12 disciples, right? So the 12 cranial nerves, the pineal gland, 12 zodiacs, again, in the sun, right? 12 disciples in Jesus, all these things manifested. And this is when he passed Kobe, right? So LeBron has 11 letters. LeBron scored 29 points, all right? So again, more signs and symbols. Let's keep going. So the next game, which was on the 9th, LeBron played the Bucks, okay? 2-9. 2-9 is 11, right? And or 38, or 8 plus 3 equals 11. And why I put that 38 there, I forget. But 11 is a doorway, right? And he passed Kareem, okay? So Kareem is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. LeBron is wearing the number 6 jersey. So 6 is equality, right? 6 is sex. 6 is also conception, or 2 hearts beating is 1. So we have this portal type of energy. And as I get further into this, I'm going to show you how much of a portal this really is, right? When we talk about 6 in sex, right? Remember, it's man and woman coming together to conceive. If you look at the number 6 looks like a pregnant woman. Looks like a woman looking down on a pregnant stomach, right? Looks like it also looks like a baby inside the womb, right? In the fetal position, the number 6. But it takes a man and a woman. It takes equality. It takes 2 balanced energies, masculine energy and feminine energy, in order for sex to work, right? And sex, ultimate goal of those sex is pleasurable. And as a Scorpio, it's one of my favorite things. All right. It leads to conception, right? So this is the point really of bringing new life into the air. There's also such a thing as sex magic, all right, where you and your lady, which if you have a lady or you have a fella, right, something you should be doing around this time, and when you do, um, conjoin with them, so to speak, is have an idea in your mind of what you want to manifest, and not just a physical thing or tangible thing. Most importantly, what character or behavior, being that it's a waning moon period, do you want to shed so that it will help you get towards that material, physical, tangible thing? We live in a material world. We need money. We need things. We need nice homes and nice cars and nice bank accounts. We need all those things, but it takes a certain mindset to get it. When you read a book like, let's say, Think or Grow Rich, right? You read Think and Grow Rich and think it's going to give you like, okay, you need to save this and you need to use this technique. But when you read Think and Grow Rich, you really realize that Think or Grow Rich is really talking about a mindset, right? A lot of money books, they're first going to talk about a mindset that you need to have and what you need to do internally in order to affect the external, right? That's what like Think or Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? And Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about how his birth father, right, was basically a poor dad, right? Working, using time as a way to make money, right? Going to work. And he talked about how his rich dad, somebody else that was a couple blocks away, was showing him how to use his own mind and right and use his own skill sets in order to make money and not trade away time for money. So it really was, both of the books are really about mindsets, right? Think of Grow Rich and Rich Dad or Poor Dad, right? So it's ultimately about entering these doorways and combining mind and matter, right? When you go to work, and I'm not against work, I still work a traditional job, right? We'll get into that, but things change as the planets are changing, right? Things are changing, and there's even a part of me, just to share this, that it's like things are going to change with that as this year goes on, right? Because there's a pull as I do more and more spiritual work, and I do more and more meditation, and I do more and more of these walks and these spiritual baths and staying in silent and listen to binaural beats and isochronic tones and being disciplined, right? Which is what it takes to become a champion, right? Which both of them are, right? And it really takes, if you see right here with Kareem, right? He has hearts in his eyes, right? It's really, what part do you love, right? Do you just love being a regular human, or do you love becoming a God body? Do you love being normal, right? Do you love fitting in, or do you want to be a king or a queen or a god or a goddess, right? And the work that it takes to become that, right? Do you want to do the work? So it takes a balance of masculine and feminine energy, right? It takes the feminine energy being your soul, right? The internal, and the masculine energy being the spirit, the external. And the spirit got to work. You know what I'm saying? When people talk about spirits, you're talking about things outside of yourself, right? Ghosts, schools, whatever, ancestors, angels, right? All the things people talk about that are outside of themselves, which are really also inside, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. But you're talking about a merging of two distinct energies. This is why, for the manosphere people, the people that are like women are like this or women are like that, you have to understand that you come from a woman, right? You come from feminine energy, right? In fact, speaking of the number 6, right, there's 42 laws of Ma'at. Ma'at is balance and harmony, right? Ma'at is balance and harmony. So it takes 6 weeks. When you're first born, you're actually born a woman, all right? Everyone is born a woman initially. So when people say the black woman is God, there's some validity to that, right? Everyone's born a woman at first. It takes 6 weeks for the penis to extend out of what they call a clitoris, right? So it's literally 6 weeks. So 4 plus 2 equals 6. So again, 6 being equality, right? Being sex, being conception, right? If that 6 weeks process doesn't happen, there's no such thing as a man being born or being created. So you have to understand your internal as well as the external. And a lot of times as men, we just focus on the external, getting money, getting resources, and things like that. That's why someone like a Kevin Samuels, an image consultant, was so popular in the man world, because men relate to just having flashy things, having nice clothes, and all those things are great. Don't get me wrong. If you see me in real life, I'm fly every day. You're going to see me in the street, baby. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody that knows me in real life can't say that they've ever seen me look bummy or ever seen me look dusty in their life. All right. But there comes a point where, are you just putting on a show? Right. Even myself, I look back at certain times driving certain cars and having a certain amount of money. And I remember just feeling alone, feeling lonely, having, 2, 3, 4 women at my beck and call, but just feeling lonely, like just feeling like shit, because I wasn't really following my purpose. I knew that there was more for me. I knew that there was more that I needed to tap into. I had a calling, an inner calling that I wasn't answering. And a lot of y'all out there have an inner calling that you guys aren't answering. And the reason you're not answering, because you're not doing the work. You're not taking the external, the consciousness and will that you're supposed to do something, and using the energy and matter portion, the spiritual portion, right? There's 2 parts of you, consciousness and will, and energy and matter. All right. Let's continue going. Let me see what y'all talking about in here. All right. So yeah, a piece to Cash Barbie coming in the building. All right, let's continue going. Legend Archer, I think I shouted you out. Shout out to Legend Archer. All right. Yeah, like Howard Vegeta saying, Twin Pillars. Let's see. Shout out to Cash Barbie. Special shout out to her. All right. Let's continue going. So we covered that. So 6 is Heru or Tiferet. Now, when I talk about Tiferet, I'm talking about the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is the tree of life in Hebrew. Kabbalah basically means to receive, all right? It's inner wisdom, okay? And the tree of life, which is right here on the right, is basically a map, a spiritual map. I'm not going to get into it. I do have a video on my channel. It's an old video. I'm going to redo it with updated knowledge that I have now and how it relates to the Kemetic tree of life. But for now, this is basically, the Kabbalah is basically a spiritual map. It's a map of spiritual energy, and it's a map of spiritual development. Very powerful tool if you know how to use it and how to relate it to magic. All right. So, and the 6 is also Heru, which we see down here. Now, when we talk about this particular number 6, which we've seen with LeBron, which we've seen with Kareem. Actually, it's Kareem right here. Can't really see it too well, but he actually has 6 dots on this particular arm, which I thought was interesting. Adidas is three stripes, 3 times 2 is 6. So you could say LeBron is the 2, 3 times 2 is 6. He's the second person in this, right? There's 2 people, but he also has 6 dots on this arm, right? Again, no such thing as coincidence, only confirmation. So let's look at the 6s, right? Because this is also ill when I put this together. When you do the math to these numbers, right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? Number 33 is 6. Also, if you add this up, it's going to come to 33, which is 6, which I thought was interesting. Karl Malone, actually, no, I'm sorry. This is just not the number. This is just his number. So 33, 6. Karl Malone's number was 32, okay? 3 times 2 is 6. LeBron James' number is 23, right? He's worn 23 in the genesis of his career, right? Or the birth of his career. Comes out to 3 times 2, 6. Kobe Bryant wore 24. 4 plus 2, 6. Okay. Michael Jordan, 23 again. 3 times 2, 6. Okay. So all these 6 numbers correspond to all these people that LeBron passed. So when we're talking about the 6, right, we're talking about Heru or Horus energy. I did a video on Heru or Horus, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I will say this is having a bird's eye view, looking at things from the top down, right? I looked more into falcons and I realized falcons actually nest on mountains. A lot of them nest on high trees or they'll nest on mountains, and Heru or Horus is a falcon. So that falcon type energy is looking down, but falcons also is a representation of will. When people talk about will, people talk about it in a frame of internally, right? Mentally, right? Just having ideas and things like that. And it is part of that, right? But in order to power your will, you need energy, right? And one of the significant parts of this comedic tree of life, Sebek, just a short version, very short version, is words, right? Logic, reasoning, and also this is emotions, feeling. Het Heru. Het Heru also corresponds to Oshun. Sebek corresponds to Elegba, right? Logic, reasoning, masculine energy. Het Heru, Oshun, feminine energy, all right? Again, short versions, don't want to get too deep into this, right? And you have Orset, which is that water, which is what you are. You are water, right? It also, Orset also corresponds to cerebrospinal fluid, right? Which is what literally goes from your spine to your neck. It's literally a fluid chamber, right? That literally is moving electricity up the spine, all right? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all with me. I don't want to confuse anybody. Just put a 1 in the chat if you are with me. Oh, shout out to Cash Barbie coming through again with the 20 ball. Cash Barbie already knows we got to do a... All right, so shout out to Cash Barbie for coming through. All right, I see the 1s in here. Shout out to CS1 with the 1. Shout out to Cash Barbie with the 1. All right, we're gonna leave this up here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Said look up the flower of life. All right, I'll check that out. I'll definitely check that out. Hollow. I know about the flower of life as far as the circle, right? But the artificial flower, never seen. So I'll check that out. All right. Shout out to the donation. All right. Now let's continue going. All right. So I see a couple of 1s. If you don't understand, you could put in the chat that you don't understand. I'll go back over it just to make sure it makes sense. All right. But should be self-explanatory, right? So consciousness and will. Let me give you an idea of consciousness and will. And if we look at the Kabbalah tree of life, the number 6 also is corresponding to the heart. So let's look at a heart desire, right? Let's say your heart's desire is to you want to give up. Let's look at it. Let's make it Valentine's Day-ish, right? I'm gonna put it from a man's perspective. You see Sheila, right? Sheila down the block, right? And Sheila is not Sheila. Matter of fact, let's say you live in a building, right? And Sheila is across the hall, right? And you see Sheila across the hall. And when you see Sheila, right? But you got a wife, right? Well, let's make it abundant, right? Let's say you got a nice house, right? You got a nice house, boom, beautiful house, beautiful home, beautiful wife, family, right? Kids. But you see somebody new moves in, right? Sheila across the street, right? Sheila was fine, right? Sheila got all the, when you see Sheila, you like, Sheila coming out the house, she wearing them short shorts and that, you got a nice flat stomach and them breasts is bouncing. You like, but you got a nice wife at home, right? You got a nice family at home. Your wife treats you well. She makes you smoothies in the morning. She packs you lunch before work. She gives you back rubs your feet, right? Bathes you in the shower, gives you affirmations while you're sleeping, right? But goddamn, Sheila is like, you know what I'm saying? And you see Sheila, shout out to Straight Panther coming in the building. Shout out to Straight Panther, big legend to you. And you see Sheila coming in the building, and you see Sheila, and you like, I want some of Sheila, right? Now, you have to make a decision. This is where the 6 comes in. This is where the will comes in, right? Do you go across the street, mess with Sheila, risk losing your family, risk getting kicked out of your home, risk being put on child support, risk you having to fight in court, and all the other tumultuous things that happens if you get caught messing with Sheila, right? Just because she looks good. Now, Sheila across the hall got 6 kids. Sheila across the hall got that house through Section 8 voucher, right? Sheila across the street got a no good baby daddy, right? Or no good, she got 6 baby daddies, let's say, right? Or let's even make it more appealing. She ain't got no kids, right? But she's not as good as your wife. She's not as powerful and as supportive and as, I hate to say submissive, because I don't want no submissive woman, right? I want my woman, if something happens, she could pull out the blicky, just like I pull out the blicky, right? I want her, if I got to leave for some particular reason, she could hold the family down. So I don't necessarily I want a woman that's balanced. She knows when to be submissive and when to be assertive, right? When to tell me, right, you're wrong, you might need to look at it like this, and also when to shut the fuck up. And listen, right? This is a balance, though. Balance, right? You need both. You need both. You need a yin and yang in order to get a complete person, right? You want just submission all day, it ain't gonna work, right? Because when you're not there, when things ain't you can't hold it down, or you can't be there. You want her to be able to take care of the family and be able to handle business. All right. So you got to make a decision. And that's where the will comes in. Are you going to follow the path of truth to your family, the path of so-called righteousness, right? The path of equality. She's treating you right. She ain't cheating. She's supportive. She's by your side. She calls you. She's writing you little affirmation notes on your pillow, right? She's buying you nice gifts, right? You going on trips. She's super supportive, super, just a great fucking woman, intelligent, right? You could talk to her about magic and esoterics, and y'all watch Rob Blackstorm channel together, right? Y'all watch my channel together and things like that, right? Is she, or is your will weak, right? Are you going to fall for the flesh? Are you going to be a person that's enticed just because she looks good over there? This is where that Tipperet or that willpower really comes in, and it's really means that you have to put energy towards whatever your purpose and your higher goal is, which is the family, which is growing the family, which is maintaining the family. So when we talk about willpower, that's the best way to look at it. All right. So let's continue going. Right. Yeah, Hollow, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm with it. I don't want a woman that's super submissive. That's some whack shit. That's some whack shit to me. Right. Exactly. True. Strong, her true feminine power, right? You want a balanced woman, fella. You don't want a woman that's just super submissive, right? That can't, when you tell her anything you tell her, she's just going to listen to. Who wants that for real, for real? You don't want a woman that's going to help inspire you. That's going to, now, not that you necessarily need that, right? If you're on your grind and you're doing your thing, right? And got your finances in order, of course, right? But you want her to be able to, a woman could see details that you can't see. She could see things from her perspective that you as a man, basically just the way we think, we don't look at details like that. For instance, right now, right, in my home, I got 2 different color shades, right? I got a gold one and I got a black one. You think if a woman was living with me, I could have a gold and a black shade? Hell no. Hell no. She getting that shit the fuck out of here. She gonna be like, no. This is going to be uniform. This is going to look a certain way because she could see details. Just like when a wedding happens, right? Men don't give a fuck about what's happening during the wedding. They usually leave it to the woman because she could, in the details, she could see details that you can't see, right? Now, it doesn't mean as the man, you're not supposed to lead and say, okay, this is what's best for the family, because you're not thinking from well, really, these niggas nowadays are super emotional. But you're not supposed to be thinking from an emotional perspective. You're supposed to be thinking from a logical perspective. So you're supposed to be the one that says yay or nay if this doesn't make sense, because it has to make logical sense. You're not going to just be moving from a watery emotional perspective, aka Osset, or what you call Yemaya, which is number 9 on this tree of life, right? You want to be moving from a logical perspective, but you don't want to be moving, right, with her emotions. You don't want to match her emotions. If she gets tight, you get tight. She starts yelling, you start yelling. She starts talking all loud, you start talking all loud. No, that's not a man. She starts talking, going crazy, yapping, take a walk, step away. I ain't dealing with this, right? And these are things that I've had to learn over time. So I'm not telling you, whenever I talk to y'all, I'm not telling y'all things that I haven't gone through, right? I used to be, you know what I'm saying, somebody who's in a long-term relationship will tell you, right? They be like, yo, this nigga Rob was just talking my ear off, right? I used to match energy, right, with a woman, and you can't do that, right? And that's with a will. But my will always was to be a better version of myself, to be a better man, right? To be more of a man, right? And I had to learn through reading, through studying, through meditation, through shadow work, through facing myself and asking myself, why am I in these particular relationships? Why am I going through these particular challenges? And a lot of it going back to the sixth energy, which we see right here, right, corresponds to the heart, which we're dealing with Tiferet now, the Kabbalah, right, dealing with this heart energy or this heart chakra, really about how do you want to not only see yourself, but how do you want to be perceived on the outside world? Because the heart or Heru also corresponds to the sun, right? So the shadow work is about bringing to light things that you've kept in the darkness. So I've had to go back to, I remember when I was in like sixth grade, I used to live in Houston growing up, and I remember being in Houston. I can remember it like yesterday, right? And this girl I really liked, man. We was going up the steps, and I tried to talk to her, and she pushed me, damn near pushed me down the steps, right? I liked her. I really liked her. And I tried to talk to her. She pushed me down the steps, and everybody on the steps was laughing. You know what I'm saying? And it fucked me up for a while. And I didn't realize how much it fucked me up. So I started going into meditation and doing the actual shadow work in my heart. And now I repurposed the imagery to now, even when I first thought about it, I'm hugging her. Me and her are hugging. And even when I'm talking to y'all, I can see me hugging her. You know what I'm saying? Me hugging her and me being just cool with her. But I've had to, now it doesn't mean that the incident didn't happen, right? But my emotion, my energy and matter, right? The electricity within me, the falcon within me, I'm looking at it from a higher perspective now. I've recreated what they called, quote unquote, the truth. And now I've made it my truth. Now I'm using my will on how I want to see the situation. I'm changed my perception, right? This is what they call, whoever told you your pineal gland is decalcified anyway, but I'm decalcifying, for lack of a better term, my pineal gland to see things from a different perspective. And this is interacting with the heart and using your energy for the direction that you really want to go. Well, am I going to go to Sheila? Am I going to be with my wife, right? Am I going to continue smoking and overeating and not moving and not working out? Or am I going to take the steps needed in order to be what I need to be, to become the magic, right? Which we'll get into. So these sixes also correspond to you, the passing of the torch, right? Which is what Kareem did to LeBron. The passing of the torch to you becoming your higher self, to you reaching heights that no one could see. No one, when you look at and listen to these sports analysts, no one thought that Kareem would pass LeBron's record. Right? I mean, that LeBron or anyone, I'm sorry, no one thought that anyone would pass Kareem's record. It wasn't supposed to happen. And LeBron ended up doing it in less time than Kareem did, right? So there's no limits to anything. Nothing is impossible. I remember I was listening to David Goggins, right? David Goggins is a military dude, motivational speaker, and he was talking about, and I'm gonna move to the next slide. Yeah, I know I could be long-winded sometimes, but he was talking about how when he was in the military and he was becoming a Navy SEAL, the first Black Navy SEAL, and they were telling him that he couldn't do something. Like there was a matter of fact, sorry, he was talking about the pull-up record, right? And he broke the Guinness Book of World Records for pull-ups. And they were thinking like it was impossible. And when they said it was impossible, he was writing down like how many pull-ups he could do in a minute, when he would need to take the breaks. He wasn't thinking about the problem. He was thinking about how he could solve the problem, right? This is when you use the consciousness and will and align it with energy and matter, right? This is when you are using knowledge and wisdom and creating an understanding. Once you have an understanding, now you can create a culture, a lifestyle, which brings you freedom, okay? So this is really making the triangle perfect: knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, engaging in that three energy. Man, woman creates a child, right? Which means mind, thought, right? And emotion, now creating something new into the world. All right. Yeah, Kareem ain't bust no threes. You're right. So that was a limit to his game. So that's why LeBron did it quicker. But you know what I'm saying. You know the point, Carlo. All right, so let's continue going. Um, so let's continue. So the same day he passed Kobe, right? January 25th, 2020, right? So if you look at the day, the 25th, it equals 7. This is the 7 year, right? And if you total everything, 2 plus 2 is 4, right? 6 plus, so 2 plus 2 is 4, add the 5, right? I'm sorry, 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, right? Add the 5 and the 1, that's 6, that's 12. So 12, right, was when he passed Kobe in 2020. Kobe died 12 hours later. Okay. Now, there's a conspiracy that says, that and I don't really want to get into that, but where they say Kobe got murdered, right? Which could be true, right? Where he had but Kobe, just to look at it spiritually and look at it from a higher angle, right? Kobe was the Black Mamba, right? So it deals with an elevation of energy. He wore number 6. Again, Kobe number 6, right? 24 adds to 6, right? So the 12 is in play again with him passing Kobe. Kobe's last number was the one he wore last was 24. So where LeBron was wearing 6, and you see LeBron's latest sneaker, right? If you look at his sneaker, which is why I didn't buy it, I usually cop LeBron's, right? LeBron's is one of the sneakers that I've copped for a long time. People know me. People usually see me with LeBron's on, but unless they're super ugly, I don't fuck with them when they're super ugly. But I got big feet. I wear size 14, so they usually LeBron's usually look good on my feet because of the size of my foot. But I didn't cop these because I'm like, yo, I got Kobe's personally, and I'm like, yo, I ain't gonna cop no fake version of Kobe's, right? Because LeBron sneaker does look like a Kobe sneaker, right? So basically, this is what you call the law of correspondence, right? Where, and this is also in your magic when you're working with different deities. Like, let's say you're working with Heru, or you're working with Oshun. You want to wear like something green, right? You want to wear something yellow. Let's say you're working with Heru energy. For instance, I'm talking about the 6 energy. Talking about Tiferet. So I got the lions behind me, right? King James, right? One of his icons is a lion, right? One of his logo themes is a lion, right? I'm wearing the red to correspond with the energy, right? So I could give y'all this information. So again, this is the law of correspondence. Tomorrow is Sunday, right? I'm talking about solar things. It's 12:30 here on the East Coast. It's already passed into Sunday. Actually, as I'm saying this, right? 12:30 Eastern time, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it.
So yes. So you see how these things link up, right? And this has happened the last couple of 2-3 lives. Hollow could tell you where these synchronicities have just been popping up, right? So again, so this is the law of correspondence. This is how it works. I'm showing you in real time, right? This is not something I'm making up. Okay, I'm showing you in real time. Let's continue going. So we covered that. We covered this. All right. So correspondence, him tapping into this shoe, this energy, right? And utilizing it in order to continue to ascend as a Laker. Now he passed Kareem's record. Will he win another championship? Who knows, right? The West right now in the NBA is wide open. So let's see. All right. Let's go into LeBron, when he passed Karl Malone's record, right? Again, he scored 29. All right. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? All right. Bought 11.11, number 11. Again, doorway. We just talked about what that was, okay? While he was playing the Wizards, the wizard energy, all right? Magic energy, wizardry, okay? The magician, all right? Magic, creating new magic, right? Remember, Magic was also a popular member of the Lakers, right? Magic Johnson, all right? So he played the Wizards, all right? Also, Karl Malone was a member of the Utah Jazz, right? So I've talked about jazz music plenty of times as part of the ways to tap in, especially using Alice's Coltrane's music, okay? Her harp music, harp and the heart, all right? Los Angeles Lakers, it comes out to 16 letters, seven, all right? 7 years, seven chakras, seven seas, seven continents, right? Seven wonders of the world, right? Lucky number seven, all right. All these correspondences come into play. All right. And he did press and got the scoring record in, again, a 7 year, 2023. Let's continue. So he played the Bucks. We just talked about him passing Karl Malone playing the Wizards. He played the Bucks on 2-9. All right. The Milwaukee Bucks. You see this magician card. All right. It has a buck on top of it. When I saw this, I was like, whoa, dude. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, yo, this is crazy, right? He played the Bucks on 2-9. 2-9 again adds up to 11. You see this magician card. He has the infinity symbol right here, which corresponds to 8. Kobe's number was 8, right? You see the two pillars, which represent a doorway, right? And the buck energy is representative of the brain, the neurons and the synapses and what they call dendrites. If you look at neurons, synapses, and dendrites, they actually look like the buck antlers, right? So it's representative of these two hemispheres of the brain aligning in order to make magic, right? The white pillar represents external energy. The black pillar represents internal energy. Little magical tip, right? If you want to rid yourself of certain habits, get a piece of paper, get a black candle, right? Under that piece of paper, what they call on that piece of paper that they call a petition, you're going to write the things that you want to get rid of in your life, right? Not people. Well, let me not say not people. Do what thou wilt, right? What you want to get rid of. But in particularly, what I used it for is habits, right? Certain habits I want to alleviate. Certain habits I want to stop, right? You're going to sprinkle a little sage in there, all right? Sprinkle a little sage in there. Get some sage, sprinkle some of that motherfucker in there, right? And you're going to put on that petition, again, put the petition under the candle, light the candle, black candle, all right, and watch. You'll start to feel, especially with this window that we have, you start to feel yourself not have the desire. Now, again, you have free will. You could still resist the energy that is literally going to be in your home and in your spirit once you do this. I've done this with several people, and several people told me that it works. So it's not just me, but I've done it myself. And you'll see this magical energy work. All right. And of course, a white candle is what you want to use to manifest things. But being that we're in a waning moon, right, the black candle would be best for you to eliminate certain things that are holding you back to get you to the next level. All right. So again, he played the Bucks right after he played the Thunder. All right. Which is, again, this is when he was passing Kareem for the high scoring list. The High Priestess card also comes into play because it's representing the number 2, the 2 energy, and also represents the magician, represents thoughts, right? The High Priestess represents emotions, right? So you see the High Priestess, these are tarot cards, balance, intuition, secret knowledge, right? So this is you tapped into your thoughts and tapped into your intuition, your internal self. This is where you get your downloads. This is where you get your understanding or your understanding, right? This is where you get your wisdom, right? It's on the High Priestess card. This is actually a veil. If you look at it on top, you'll see it looks like one of those what do they call it? Those things you hang up in the back. I forgot the name of it, but those things you hang up in the back, like when you want to just decorate the wall with something. So this is actually a veil, right? That you have to choose to walk through. On the High Priestess card, there's the full moon in the middle. This is the waxing moon, the full moon, and the waning moon, which is her crown. So this is being in tune with these energies. There's, again, just like the magician card, 2 pillars right here for masonry, Boaz and Joachim. And you have to walk through this, right? You have to make this, and one of the crystals is aquamarine and labradorite, right? So these are things you could get in order to get this balance, this intuition, and this secret knowledge, right? And the Thunder reminded me the download I got was Thor and Shango, right? Which is number 6 on the tree of life, even with the name Shango, right? Which goes back to the heart, right? The Heru energy. Heru is Shango, when you're dealing with the Yoruba pantheon, right? The heart right here, which corresponds to the number 6 of Tiferet, and we see LeBron wearing it all over. And Thor, right, is the number 6, right? Thor is actually Shango. Shango was actually Thor. So all the Marvel, mostly all of the Marvel superheroes, I'd say all of them actually, all of them have some sort of correspondence to an Orisha, right? A member of the Loa, right? If you're dealing with the Haitian pantheon of voodoo, right? Or the Netzaru, which you're dealing with the Kemetic pantheon, right? So Shango, right, is number 6, right? And number 12, right? Sacred place in nature, swirl palm tree colors, red and white, right? Double-headed axe, which you've seen if you watch the Marvel Pantheon, you've seen Thor with the double-headed axe, right? Stormbreaker, right? Single-headed axe, thunder, right? Bombastic, outspoken, right? So the thunder is again LeBron passing Kareem, but also you surpassing what you think your limits are. You surpassing what you think you know. You bringing something new into existence. You bringing some new thunder, some new lightning. And as you see, whenever Thor goes into whenever, if you look at the movie Thor, whenever Thor goes to Asgard, right, he rides a rainbow bridge, which represents the chakras, right, which represents the elevation of energy, right, which we've seen when we talked about space weather, right. We've seen that rainbow bridge, which is in play right now. All right. I'm not making it up. I showed you this earlier. All right. This is a rainbow bridge right now over particularly North America, right? You see it, right? We saw what's been happening with the sun. This happened today, all right? February 11th, right? And it's going to continue for the next 2 to 3 days. This energy, being that we had 3 solar flares, like all the next week, is going to be popping. Tomorrow, the Super Bowl, whew, man, we're going to get there. But this is the energy right now that's on the planet, right? So this energy we could use in order to create new worlds, right? Create new sigils. Sigils are symbols, right? Icons, right? Draw your life out. Literally draw. I don't care if you use stick figures, right? I said this in my other video. Draw your life. See what you want it to look like. New home, new car, new woman, new man. What does that look like, right? What does that actually draw in a picture form? Okay. Create a symbol or a sigil around it, right? Or a logo, right? Very simple. The same way they created the Target logo, the Starbucks logo, the NFL logos, right? All these different NBA logos, all these different logos. You create your own logo that represents what you want to become and what you want to manifest, right? And not just in a physical, tangible form, but also here in the inner form, with your inner intuition, right? Where your balance. So you can pass through the veil, all right? So going back to Thor, right? This is in the Age of Ultron. So Thor, which is Heru, which you already talked about, which is Shango, in the Age of Ultron, he creates vision, right? With his electricity, meaning with his inner heart energy, meaning with his will. Thor represents will, consciousness, and will. But you have to have electricity behind it. You have to have energy behind your will, right? You have to have the ability to say no to Sheila. You have to have the ability to say no to that chocolate cake. You have to have the ability to say no to the party, right? You have to have the electricity behind it so that you could discipline yourself to enhance whatever your vision is, to discipline yourself in order to reach your higher purpose, right? So Thor created vision with electricity, right? And as you see, when he created the character Vision, which is right here, Vision was able to pick up Thor's hammer. And according to the mythos of Thor, no one could pick up Thor's hammer unless they're worthy. And even if you see Vision, he has the same colors of Het Heru, or Oshunish type colors, right? Which is the greenish and the red colors, right? Let's go back just for visual sakes. And you see Het Heru with the green, right? There's a little tinge of red you can't see here, but the yellow, right? Which he actually, you can't see in this picture, but Vision right here has the Mind Stone, which is a yellow stone, right? So the Mind Stone is actually yellow, just like the visible sun. So again, all these, and Vision actually is a male representation of Het Heru or Oshun, right? If you understand the mythos, right? So again, this is all about what do you see, right? What are you visualizing? What do you visualize on a day-to-day basis, right? What are you telling your will? Are you affirming yourself on a day-to-day basis? Are you seeing yourself where you want to be on a day-to-day basis? And are you doing the work, right? This represents work, right? Before this scene in the Age of Ultron, they were battling, right? The Avengers were battling each other. They were fighting each other. And Thor was like, "Fuck that, man! I'm gonna create vision. I'm gonna create a vision so that we could beat Ultron. And I'm gonna create vision using the Mind Stone, using the energy of the Mind Stone, and giving it my willpower. All right. So that's the meaning behind this. It all corresponds again to that LeBron energy, that six energy. Let's continue going. Y'all with me? Let me see if y'all with me. Put something in the comment section. Let me know y'all with me. Peace, Vanita. Welcome. Okay, Rainbow Pro from Mario Kart. Shango's one of my heads. All right, Straight Panthers with me. All right, CN1's with me. Okay. All right, I see y'all in the building. All right. I see y'all in the building. Okay. So Shango's one of my heads. All right. Yeah, and speaking of, yeah, and then they use these different things even in video games like Rainbow. And a lot of times I want to talk about this video game thing real quick. Be careful with the video games, fellas, and the things that you can see. Shout out to Dr. Bombay, Cash Barbie. Okay. All right. Be careful with the video games, fellas. I'll tell you from personal experience, I wasted a lot of time, a lot of years on video games where I could have been creating something beautiful, where I could have been putting more things into effect, where I could have been making more money. Video games, I'm not against video games, right? But I'll tell you what one thing I did. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just telling you what I did, which I always do. I sold my PlayStation, right? This is a fact. Right before 2020, when did I sell my PlayStation? 2019. I sold my PlayStation. Why did I sell my PlayStation? Because it was taking too much time. It was taking too much time away from me becoming who I wanted to be. It was taking too much time away from me even interacting with women properly. It was taking time away from me reading. It was taking time from me away from my growth and development. And I said, man, let me just sell this shit. You know what I'm saying? Let me sell this shit and get it away from me. That's my will, right? The sixth energy coming into play. My heart energy saying, I desire more. I desire better. This thing is taking me away from who I am supposed to be. It is distraction from who I want to be. So how do I activate my vision, right? How do I activate my worthiness so I could lift my hammer? I sold my PlayStation. I'm not telling anybody to do that, right? I'm saying if you're disciplined with it, you're disciplined with it. But if you're spending 8-7 hours like I was playing PlayStation after work, 5 hours playing PlayStation after work, you really need to, and you're not where you want to be mentally, spiritually, financially, or emotionally, you really need to consider what's more important, your PlayStation or your purpose, right? That's all I'll say on that. Let's keep going. So we have, so this is Thor Ragnarok, right? Again, more six energy. Now, Thor in Ragnarok, what he had to realize in this particular movie was that and this is again still tied into LeBron energy, still tied into willpower, still tied into the heart, right? In Thor Ragnarok, the main lesson was he had to realize he didn't need a hammer, right? A lot of you guys think that the only way you'll come into spiritual power is if you get the right spell, or if you meet the right man, or if you meet the right woman, or if the aliens come, or if Nibiru comes, or if something comes out of the sky, or if you get some sort of magic potion or magic mantra or word of power or something like that, that you will be able to just manifest things out of thin air. It doesn't work that way, right? You have to realize that it comes from the heart. It comes from your will. It comes from you being in love with yourself. And being loving yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you can't love anybody else. Doesn't mean but what you want to do is share your love, right? It's the difference between sharing your love and seeking love. It's the difference between falling in love, which means you're falling for someone, than being in love, right? Two different things. Two different things, right? Being in love and falling in love is two different things. Being in love means you love yourself and you're willing to share that love with someone else. That means you love your dark side, right? That means you love your light side, right? Whatever your dark side might be, you might be in love with it, right? I'm a Scorpio, right? I got some, well, let me, let's say I got a dark side, right? I got a dark side, but I love my dark side. I love my dark side. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my dark side. My dark side helped me to survive in the 90s, right? In an era of hyper masculinity, hyper violence, and no cell phones, right? It helped me to survive. It helped me to survive my prison journey, right? If I didn't have that dark side and I was all love and light and peace, power, and prosperity and all that shit I tell y'all, right? If I was just that, right? Well, I was still powerful. So that's aspect of the dark side is power. So I was still that, right? But if I was only that, I would not have survived these things. I would not have survived being homeless at the time I was homeless. I would not have survived certain things if I didn't have my dark side. So you gotta embrace your dark side. But it doesn't mean you don't seek peace. It doesn't mean you don't seek prosperity. It doesn't mean you don't seek balance, right? This is the goal, to become balanced, to become one with all things, the negative and the positive. You know that Trump might happen. You know that Biden might happen. You know the government's going to do its things. But you also know, even though the government's doing whatever they're doing, right? You could go sit by a lake or go sit on the beach and experience tremendous peace, sipping on some motherfucking vodka, whatever you like to drink, right? You can have tremendous peace and laughter having a nice woman or a nice man in your bed, right? Watching, I don't know, whatever you like to watch, right? You could have tremendous peace in this life no matter what chaos is going on around you. But you have to understand both sides and love both sides of you, okay? And this is how you tap into that inner light, your inner lightning. You can't expect something on the outside of you to save you or someone on the outside to come and do it for you. You have to take the steps yourself. You can't say, when I get a master teacher, this is going to happen. Yes, I am a guide. Yes, other people on YouTube are guides. Yes, you might have a mentor that are guides, but ultimately you're going to do the work. You know how many people I've done readings for and told them to do this and this, and then they'll come back to me a year, 2 years later, be like, yeah, I don't do things you said, but that's their life. I'm not judging them, but because I was once them myself, right? People were telling me to do things that I didn't do, right? I remember people who told me years ago, yo, chill out on the weed. Stop smoking weed every day. I didn't listen, right? I didn't listen, right? Part of it was like, oh, it's relaxing me. Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm looking at things and reading things that, you know, my logic-based mind confirmed it, hemp and this and that. And I'm talking about for me, and I'm talking about for everybody else, right? Because some people could smoke and they good and they can smoke every day and their life is quote unquote perfect, right? For me, it was holding me back from my ambition. It was holding me back from my goals. It was holding me back from even tapping into my psychic clairvoyant abilities, right? Which is a big thing, right? And not it being as potent as it is now, right? Not seeing the synchronicities that I see now. So you have to figure out how do you tap into your inner light, your inner being, right? And even if you look at these colors of Thor, right, representing the red sun, the sun that you see in space, Thor is a cosmic being, right? Loki, right, being the hidden self or the shadow self or the dark side, right, representing that yellow energy, and Hulk, right, being the earth, right, which we are part of earth. If you look at the word earth, you see the word heart, okay? Earth and heart are kind of an anagram, okay? Because we are here on earth, right? We need earth. We need to eat food, vegetables, animals, whatever, in order to survive. Water, right? The earth nurtures us, literally, right? And the earth is ultimately our Hulk. I don't care how much magic you do, motherfucking hurricanes, tornadoes, snowstorms, heavy rains, all those things going to affect your magical human ass, right? Your god body ass, right? Nature is the Hulk. Nature is a hulking terror over you, right? If the sky didn't turn, the sun didn't come out tomorrow, people would freak the fuck out, okay? That's how powerful nature is, right? Things, if the sun didn't go out for a couple of days, things wouldn't grow. We wouldn't have nothing to eat. Animals would start dying. So nature is the ultimate hope, right? And not to mention gamma waves on the ultramagnetic spectrum is a higher wave frequency, even higher than ultraviolet waves. All right, speaking scientifically. So Hela, which is in Thor Ragnarok again, was the op. All right. You see, Hela was she was hurt in the movie. She had pain, she had trauma, right? So she was acting out of pain and trauma. And this pain of trauma, the logical thing that she thought to do was to kill everybody, right? And reign supreme. And she had heavy magic. Be careful of some of the magical people that y'all are following on this YouTube, right? That seem like they got it all together, that seem like they're super magically powerful, right? But are not people that are, for lack of a better word, I don't want to say moral, but are speaking truth, that are just, that are equal, right? That are treating people the way they want to be treated, right? That are doing things to people. You can always tell who's true by their character and by what they're presenting, right? And what they are advocating you to do in a magical circle, right? People who want to teach you how to bind people, people who want to teach you how to hex people, people who want to teach you how to curse people. Be careful from those, be careful with those people. I'm not telling you what to do, but I am telling you that if you're walking around with a powerful electromagnetic field, I'll tell you this from my own life, you don't have to worry about hexing nobody. They're going to hex themselves just by fucking with you. You don't have to worry about cursing nobody. They're going to curse themselves just by fucking with you. Just by you thinking a thought, just by you using your hecker and saying fuck them, they're going to curse themselves. They're going to curse themselves. I promise you. I've seen it, and I'm seeing it happen, right, as we speak. So be careful. And you don't need to bind nobody here in this world. Don't be trying to bind nobody, all right? That's a futile, because that's a self-esteem issue. That's a self-esteem issue you have within yourself. You're basically telling yourself that you don't feel like you could get anyone better than that you're weak, that you're not powerful. So you can't get anyone else better. You have to bind this person to you, right? So what are you creating? A slave? That's what you're basically trying to do, create a slave. But yet everyone's pro-black and anti-slavery, but yet you want to make a slave online. You want to teach people how to make slaves. So be careful with the witches and the magicians that you're following, all right? Be careful what they're spreading. They may seem all powerful, they may be leading you to your demise. And again, just to point out Hela again, or Hela, remember that your ops are going to be very powerful. The people that are going to tell you to get off your path are going to be very powerful. They're going to be friends. They're going to be family. They're going to be loved ones. It could be your girl. It could be your current man, right? Don't do this shit. Don't get into this magical shit. Why are you lighting these candles? The fuck you taking a spirit bath for? That shit don't make no sense. Why are you studying all this shit? This shit ain't gonna help you. Boom, just get some money, right? I remember I dated a girl. She took me off my path for a little while. She was like, she was like, I was into all this history and spiritual shit, but what you really need is just to get some money. And guess what? I got the money, and then I still wasn't happy. There was still something missing. I was still sneaking off and going to Barnes and Nobles and reading and learning and getting into self-help because there was a part of me, my calling was calling. And when your calling is calling, the best thing you could do is answer. And everybody has their own time to answer, right? But don't be telling me about Black liberation and all you're doing is doing shit online. Like, what are you doing in a tangible reality to create and I'm talking about in a legal way, right? That's going to pass a law. Because the only way shit shifts from my study of history is when laws are passed. Not from picketing, not from spreading awareness with hashtags. It's when the motherfucking law is passed. That's it. If laws aren't passed, shit's not really happening in real time. All right? I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to you. But unless a law passes, shit doesn't happen. All right? So just you picketing and marching and boycotting, you got to get the legal system in your favor, right? And you got to be persuasive and influencers enough to do that. And that's where the magic comes in. Tapping into Ma'at, those type of energies will help you do that, all right? If that's your goal, all right? I'm not here to save the planet or save just a race of people. I'm here to save myself, and I'm here to save my family, and then help other people in the world, all right? That's how it should be. A lot of people use escapism because they don't want to face their halo. They don't want to face their enemies. They don't want to face their opponents. They don't want to face their quote unquote demons or their daemons or the animal spirit within them. So they find escapism through these causes and these yeah, these causes and these different groups and things like that. Be careful of hiding in groups. Don't hide yourself in a group. If you're in a group, be valuable to the group and tap into your inner powers to help the group. Nothing wrong with being part of a group or being part of a team. But as you see in this team, Hulk is different than Loki. Loki is different from Thor. All right. They all teamed up to help defeat Hela. So tap into your own inner powers if you are part of a group. Don't just be a blind follower. Like this dude in my comments talking about anti-black. I know you got anti-black from that. You didn't come up with that from your own mind. That's a follower shit. So don't be a follower. You could take something from someone, but make sure you are thinking your own thoughts. Let's continue. Oh, I want to say this too, real quick. I want to say this. When we're talking about spirituality and spiritual understanding, and even myself, I find myself to get lost in this. There's a lot of information, great information out here on YouTube, on the internet, on all these platforms, social media platforms, books, and things like that, right? Be careful that you are not escaping through watching videos. You're escaping your own work through watching videos, through scrolling on the internet. I have to gird myself, even myself today. Like I was on Instagram a lot today while I was putting this together. Like I was doing this and going on Instagram, doing this and going on Instagram. And I was like, and the spirit told me, all right, remember, what did you learn? And I was like, shit, like a lot of the shit that I was profound that I read or saw on Instagram, I realized that I didn't even remember half of it. I realized I didn't even remember half of it. So make sure when you're watching these videos, you're taking notes. Make sure when you're looking at these things that are profound, you are writing these things down, right? And the night, when the night comes, make sure you review it, right? Look at it, see if it makes sense when you do all this knowledge and watching all these videos. Before you go to bed, see what you retain, see what made sense for you, right? Don't escape through just watching videos or scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, right? Don't, because a lot of that time you could be doing work. And even if you're not doing work, you could be relaxing. You could be enjoying your life. You could be laughing. You could be watching a movie or whatever you like to do, right? So make sure you have time for your mind, your own thoughts, your own idea, your own conjure, right? Your own whatever you want to bring to the world. Because what all I've showed you earlier, the universe is trying to give it to you, right? The universe is the solar flares and all this solar energy, right? The universe is trying to give it to you. Universe is trying to give you the gifts on a platter, right? And I'm going to, as we continue going, show you this portal that's opened up this month, right? The universe is literally trying to hand us, but you got to get rid of shit, right? You got to tap into your consciousness and will, and you have to come to the point to where you're not just using, again, this spirituality and the spiritual knowledge just as a form of escapism, right? And do this for yourself, right? When you're doing this, make sure you're retaining some stuff, right? Make sure you're getting something really from it, not just a dopamine high that the internet is designed to give you. All right, let's continue. So Kyrie was number 11 and played with KD, number 7. All right. 7, 8, 9. Even if you add 11 and 7, right, you get 18. 8 plus 1 is 9. All right. So 9, as we talked about, 9 months of birth. It means birth. It means creation. It also looks like a baby coming out the womb again, right? Another different type of fetal position, right? Not the 6, which is the pregnancy, right? 9, which is the birth. So it represents birth, being born, right? And says Kai D followed Kyrie to his home. All right. Big message in this. All right. KD followed Kyrie to his home or heart. Now, Kyrie Irving is from New Jersey. This team is called the Brooklyn Nets. So KD did not follow his own heart. Okay. KD followed Kyrie. All right. And this also ties into LeBron because remember, LeBron had success with Kyrie. Okay. They won the championship, right? And went to the finals 3 times, LeBron and Kyrie. And they won their first championship based on Kyrie's hitting that shot, right? LeBron had the block after, but really, if Kyrie didn't hit that three, right, there would be no championship in Cleveland. So Kyrie's shot was really the big shot that took him over the top. So KD, being a follower, not being a leader, this is important because that Heru energy is leadership as well, right? It's willpower, right? It's doing things that you may not want to do for the purpose of your higher good. KD left LeBron, right? No, I'm sorry. Kyrie left LeBron, and we see all the chaos that's happened since Kyrie left LeBron, right? But KD went and followed Kyrie right to his home. He followed him to the Nets, which was Kyrie's team, instead of being a leader. KD, as talented as he is, when you hear about KD, all you hear is him saying, I just want to hoop, man. I just want to hoop, man. I just want to hoop. He just wanted to stay in what they call the comfort zone. He wanted to stay in what was comfortable, his old patterns. I just want to hoop. I just want to hoop. Eventually, KD, with all that talent, you have to learn to become a leader. You have to learn to become a leader. You have to learn how to choose your own destiny. You have to learn how to make things happen and stop following other people. Because when you follow other people, now he's in a situation where he got traded to the Suns, but that wasn't his first choice. But when we talk about the Suns, right, we're going to get into that. But we talk about the Suns, now we're talking about, again, this solar energy that I showed you played out earlier, and now the light. So maybe after this contract, who knows? Maybe the light will turn on for KD, that he has to do more than just hoop. And this is probably something that has his suffering in his life, right? In his real life, all right? Where he's not doing what he's supposed to do for him. Who are you following? As talented as they are, as mystical as they are, as magical as they are, I don't want nobody to follow me personally. I'm a guide, right? I want you to listen, be able to do these things on your own. I want you to do your own, as I always say, your wax on, wax off, Danielson, right? Do your own training, right? Read your numerology books. Read signs and symbols books. They're out there, right? You get a dictionary of symbolism, right? You get different books that have symbolism parts where you could study symbolism, right? Don't just rely on me or somebody on the internet to decode for you. You learn to decode, right? And you could say, okay, well, that's not my calling. Well, it's got to be part of it, or you wouldn't be watching videos like this. Maybe as a farmer, you're supposed to be a farmer with spiritual knowledge. Maybe as a yoga teacher, you're supposed to be a yoga teacher with spiritual knowledge. Maybe as an accountant, you're supposed to be an accountant with spiritual knowledge. Maybe you're supposed to carry ethical things into these places, into the law, into your law business, into your government job, into even you being the best trained conductor. Maybe you're supposed to treat people a certain way and advocate for people when you become a manager at your job, right? I remember I was a manager at my job, right? At this job I had, real quick story time, right? I remember I was a manager at this job I had. And my boy Raj can tell you this firsthand because he was a manager too. And they were going to stop. They moved part of our company to Minnesota, and they were paying people that were making commissions less in Minnesota, right? And they were paying us because I was in New Jersey at the time. Ironically, another synchronicity. I was working in New Jersey. This is all facts, right? I'm not making this stuff up. You're seeing it in real time. So I was working in New Jersey. I was making the New Jersey Nets, right? I was making a commission. I was a manager, right? So I was on salary. I was making commission if my team did well, right? And my team was the number one team. Shout out to me. My team was the number one team for months, right? And we were in a meeting and the owners was like, well, we want to just put people on salary, right? And start not paying people commissions. And he wanted to do it like next month. And everybody in the meeting, right? Black, white, Spanish, right? Was like, yep, okay. I was the only one I've always been spiritual, right? Even in my nigga phase, I've always had a need for righteousness and faith, at least, right? We don't have to be righteous, but be fair. And I was like, but you're just gonna post on them next month, right? You're just gonna like just pop it up that there's no commissions. I said people have families, like people have been depending on these commissions. People have started the job with the idea of these commissions in mind. You know, I'm like, I understand that you have the office in Minnesota and you're paying them less, but you can't just stop the commissions like that. Like it's not really the right thing to do. And eventually, being that it's a corporate America, they did what they wanted to do, right? And they didn't stop the commissions the next month, right? They waited for like another 5-6 months, and then they laid everybody off, including your boy, right? Gave me a severance package and said, "Get the fuck out of here," right? They laid most of us off, but at least I was able to come to give people their commissions for at least a couple of more months because I spoke up, right? So you got to follow your heart, right? If I didn't follow my heart, right, a lot of people would have been let down. And it was because everybody else was shutting up. I ain't mad at them for doing what they did, right? But I had to do what I had to do. I had to speak from my heart to what I knew was right. Whether it went wrong, left, I got fired, whatever. My heart was saying, my spirit was saying this wasn't right. So you got to follow your heart, what your purpose is, what your journey is, right? No matter what anybody says about you. The biggest step for me was to get on this YouTube. I was so scared of presenting myself to people, right? I was so nervous. If you go back and look at my old videos, you see the fear and the nervousness. I'm not ashamed to say that, right? I wasn't comfortable. I was still doing something new, but I still took the steps. Some of you guys have some things you're supposed to do, but you just have to have the heart and the willpower to do it and to make the step. And there's things that you need to let go so that you can make the steps. It could be people in your life. It could be your PlayStation. It could be your diet. It could be the things you're watching, right? There's things you may have to let go in order to make your steps and step into your leadership role and leading yourself, not leading a bunch of people, leading yourself. When you lead yourself, you're able to lead a bunch of people properly and effectively, not on no micromanage, domineering shit, right? So that's what I have to say about that, right? So the LeBron mirror, he thought he could do what LeBron did with Kyrie, but no, you can't because you're not a leader, KD. LeBron was able to keep Kyrie in check. You don't have that same skill set, all right? So what he was giving birth to is more dependency on, even though he had all the skills in the world, he did not have the heart of a lion. All right, let's continue. So Kyrie got traded to the Mavericks. Mavericks is an unorthodox or independent-minded person. Okay, Luka's number is 77. 7 plus 7 equals 14 equals 5. Okay, so 5 is also the numbers we've been talking about earlier. The 5 hands, 5 fingers. 5 hands, 5 fingers. 5 fingers, 10, right? 5 toes on each foot, right? So the number 5 also talks about doing. It's a power number. It's a number of creation, right? The number 5. It's a number of refinement, right? Putting things into existence. And Kyrie's number was number 2 is Kyrie's number. So the 5 plus 2 is 7, right? So 7 to 14, 14 is 5. 5 plus 2 equals 7. It's a 7-year or 2023. Luka Doncic in Hebrew gematria, right? Shout out to Hollow. See, you was talking about gematria earlier. See, I got you, Hollow. Synchronicity again, man. How many times is going to come up in this video? How many times synchronicity is going to come up in this video? There's no such thing as coincidence, only confirmation. You remember, but don't remember nothing else. Remember that, all right? This is what you want to see. This is when you know you're on the right path, when you see these synchronicities happening, all right? Just a cue. So 370, right? 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Luka wears 77 is not just a coincidence. It's a confirmation for him. That's why he's doing well. Also, Kyrie with the number 11. There's a lot of synchronicities to that. You could look that up yourself, right? With him 11, I think he was born on the 11th, and there's a lot of 11 synchronicities, which 11 adds up to 2, right? Which was his first number with the Cavs, all right? And it's not a coincidence. This happened in number 23. And he's a Maverick, right? We all know Kyrie is an unorthodox basketball player and an unorthodox person. And he's an independent-minded person. This is the definition of maverick from the Webster's Dictionary. This is not something I made up. So him going to the Mavericks with Kyrie's personality is not, and this is what happens when you stay true to who you are. Things happen for you in the best way possible. Let's continue going. So Kyrie went to Mark Cuban. He's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban is a Jew. He's from Jewish heritage. He's an Ashkenazi Jew. All right. His family's surname was originally Chabinsky or Chabinsky. His family is Jewish from Russia, Ukraine, Romania, and Moldova. All right. Ukraine is a very poor country, by the way, right? Ukraine is probably one of the poorest countries in the world. So when people talk about poverty, right, and black people, don't forget that there's white people in Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, all these places, Ukraine, Romania, Moldova, very, very poor countries, right? Very, very impoverished countries, right? Full of Caucasian people. So don't feed into the narrative, the poverty narrative and the broke mindset narrative that all black people are poor. For someone who works in finance personally, I can tell you that firsthand, right? People always say white people got good credit. No, they don't, my nigga. That's a myth, like a motherfucker. All right. But that's a perception we've been given with TV and the media, right? And just American society overall, right? But again, this is what happens when you are down, right? Kyrie got what he wanted. He got with the Mavericks, which represents his personality. He got with Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is an innovator, right? He's the first person in the NBA to have food in the lockers, right? He has all these different luxury lockers, all these with the trainers, right? All these trainers. Mark Cuban is the first person to have all these trainers and these health coaches and these different things. He innovated the whole ownership game in the NBA. He, even with the way he had the halftime shows. They always had a halftime show, but the way he jazzed it up, right? Putting hip hop in the stadiums. He's the first to put hip hop in the stadiums. People don't know that, but he's the first to put hip hop music in NBA stadiums. So Mark Cuban is an innovator, right? He's a billionaire. And Kyrie deleted his Jewish apology tweet, right? And they talked about it. He was like, yo, I deleted it. It's my page. I deleted what I want to delete, basically. So it's not a coincidence that in the 7 year he's been rewarded by going to the Mavericks. He said he likes playing with Jason Kidd, who's the coach, right? And again, this is what happens when you stay true to yourself. Things work out in your favor, all right? He's with Luka, who is a LeBron type of player, right? It's all working out in his favor, all right? All working out in his favor. So keep that in mind. It may not seem like it is in the beginning. You may go through a struggle in the beginning, but once you come out of that, you're going to be better off in the long run. Let's continue. So Russell Westbrook, 34. He's 34 years old. Again, the number 7, more number synchronicity, right? Westbrook is making about 47 million in his final year on the contract, all right? 47 and number 11. We talked about earlier, the doorway, right? Kyrie's first game in the Mavericks, 110, 104, right? 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. So the number 7 is prevalent there as well. Again, for the God year, this was Kyrie's first game. And also showing you that this is a portal type of time. Westbrook got traded for D'Angelo Russell. Got traded for a 0. The 0 represents portals, right? It represents the universe. It represents the wholeness. It represents one. So this is a very important time. And as we continue going, you'll see how important it is, especially this month. There was a portal opening right now. There's a portal opening, not just the solar references, not just the LeBron thing, not just the numerology. As I continue going, there's a portal that's open right now that you can't see, but I'm going to continue to show you. All right. Super Bowl 57 equals 12. All right. 12. Okay. We're going back to the 12 cranial nerves, 12 disciples, 12 zodiac signs. All right. 2/12/2023, right, is when this is happening, right? Add this up. It comes up to the number 12. This is on the 43rd day. Tomorrow is the 43rd day of the year, which adds up to the number 7. All right. You can see the Super Bowl right here at the Grammy Awards. All right. So the Grammy Awards, this is a big bowl, right? Which you would call a witch's cauldron, all right? A witch's cauldron or a portal or a number 0, okay? Or a portal or womb energy. It's not a coincidence that she's dressed like the high priestess, has high priestess colors with the high priestess on the tarot card, which I showed you earlier, right? And you see the purple. This is when Joe Biden got inaugurated as president. You see he's wearing a purple tie. She's wearing all purple. They got purple in the background right here when Joe Biden was presenting an award, right? She's holding a purple play card, right, which corresponded with the theme, right? This is in Los Angeles, and the Super Bowl colors are the same colors as the Super Bowl in Arizona, are the same colors, right? This purple and this reddish type of color that we've been seeing. If you looked at my other video on Doja Cat and the Tyree Nichols ritual, you'll see that, right? So again, more significant things that have been happening. Let's keep going. 65th Grammys, all right? 6 plus 5 is what? 11. This was on the 5th. 2, 5, 7, okay? 99 states to the union, right? 9 plus 9 is 18, comes out to 9, all right? So this was Joe Biden again looking like the high priestess tarot card, all right? In our high priestess energy, casting a spell, right? We saw that in the previous. This is definitely spell casting. What this was, I didn't watch the Grammys. When I saw the clip and I saw this shit moving in the background, I was like, oh shit, the purple back here is actually moving. I said, oh shit, she's casting a spell. He's casting a spell on the people, and they don't even see it by wearing a high priestess clothing while stepping on the purple, the crown chakra. She's casting a spell, right? With the Grammys, they use music to cast spells every Grammy year. I mean, and they use these particular colors of red and black all the time. Which you see, another high priestess, Kamala Harris. Okay, she's wearing what? Purple. Same purple we seen in the Grammys, all right? Same purple we seen here, all right? She's wearing purple, but she has a red, scarlet red, all right? If you saw my Doja Cat, Tyree Nichols breakdown, you know the significance of scarlet, the scarlet witch, right? She's wearing red with a black necklace, all right? Red and black, more doorway colors, Elegba colors, right? More magical colors, all right? And you see he's wearing a red tie. Joe's wearing blue. Red and blue make purple, all right? Again, more spell casting, all right? More spell casting that they were doing at the State of the Union. This State of the Union was the most divisive State of the Union that I've ever seen. They were screaming at Joe Biden. They were disruptive, right? It looked like niggas. It looked like niggas was beefing with each other. It looked like niggas was beefing with each other, right? That's what it looked like to me in the Grammys. So that's what was going down. It looks like they was at the State of the Union. They was arguing and beefing with each other. So a house divided cannot stand, right? So remember I told you this year, right?
It's going to be some stuff you're going to see that's going to make it hard to smile.
So it's not going to be, remember, we're only in the second month. Remember, shortly after Kobe died, which is, again, a significant throwback, then in 2020, what happened shortly after that? The whole scamdemic, right? The whole scamdemic happened, right? And people with lower vibrations were dying from that virus, okay? Most of the people that passed away from that virus, they already had illnesses already. They already were sick already. They already were lower vibrational, right? So get your health up, get moving, right? Eat green, right? Balance your diet, right? I'm not saying you got to be a vegan, right? Because that shit don't matter. But balance it, right? Don't be eating meat all day and don't be eating cheap shit all day, right? Put some greens into your diet. Drink some smoothies, right? Take some herbs. Eat some berries, blackberries, blueberries, cranberries, right? Flush your system out. Go get a fitness regimen, right? Take care of yourself. Because they casting spells, right? They casting spells. And if your third eye's not open, you're going to fall victim. A house divided cannot stand. All right. So when you see this type of thing happen in the government, you know this shit is falling. All right. You know this shit is falling. No matter what spells they cast. They was shouting at Joe Biden, whether that's Joe Biden or the robot or the clone, right? Because he seems pretty spry in this particular. Now, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched a clip, but he seemed pretty spry and pretty active. And I already think this is probably an AI robot, but that's another story for another day. This also happened at the State of the Union. The lady in purple, Joe Biden's wife, right? Remember, she was wearing purple. She was behind purple. She was wearing her priestess colors, which are similar to the Super Bowl colors. I think there's something significant going to happen tomorrow at the Super Bowl or the day of or around it. Look out for the spell or look out for some sort of tragedy, right? I'm just saying, I'm not a doom and gloomer, but I am a person who sees things beyond the veil. That's all I'll say, right? So look out for tomorrow during the Super Bowl, some event, maybe some cataclysmic event, maybe some tragedy happening, right? Now, you see she's wearing purple. She's kissing Kamala Harris's husband. This is not Photoshop. This happened in real time. They're holding hands. They're holding hands and kissing. Who is going to let someone kiss their husband or kiss their wife on the lips like this with them holding each other's hands? Unless there's some sort of ritual, love ritual happening. Unless they're trying to manifest something. Unless they're trying to tell you something. Go watch the show on Netflix, The House of Cards, if you really want to understand how the government works, because they laid it down. Remember, they have to tell you what's going on, right? They have to tell you so that you can invite them and you can still accept it, right? So that they could avoid the cause and effect, right? They say, hey, we showed you. They still voted. They still participate in the system. They still believed in us, right? They still want to be Democrat. They still riding with Joe, right? They still riding with Trump. They still believe this shit's going to work. They still not going to come up with their own candidates. They're still not going to go to their own town hall meetings or city councils. They're still going to be on the internet. They're still not going to be active. They're still not going to turn their will into actual power, right? So they'll keep casting spells, right? No one's really talking about this, but this was crazy, right? How does a married woman and a married man, they kissing each other at the middle of the State of the Union, all right? Unless this is conjured. Unless they're trying to say it's okay. If you watched House of Cards, you'll notice that the president and his wife, they were both sleeping with other people. Okay? And would come together and sleep with each other. But this is blatant, okay? This is Wayfair, right? Wayfair, the company, the same company. This is on the right. Wayfair is the same company that was shipping, had all these scandal that they were shipping children in these containers and these freezers, these enormously high freezers and refrigerators, right? Which allegedly is for body parts, right? Allegedly, so they could store kids, so they could eat them later, right? Allegedly. And Wayfair, this is what they posted on their Instagram. My plastic containers after one night of spaghetti. Now, we know spaghetti, if you put period blood in stew or put period blood inside of, well, you may not know, put period blood in stew or period blood inside of someone's spaghetti, right? You could bind them. You could draw them closer to you. It's a magical, ritualistic act, right? Now, if you use this color and you add music to it, right? And you add a song by Sam Smith called Unholy, and you add the trans music where whatever you want to do sexually is not my business, but two people of the same sex cannot create new life, right? Without a sperm bank or whatever coming from, it still has to be balanced, right? So two people of the same sex cannot create life you need a womb to create life. So, yeah, and he also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people surrounding him, all right? Him being the 8th, which representing the build and destroy. You also see Lizzo, which I don't have a picture here, but Lizzo had the same colors on, right? Because she's initiated. The music industry, they have a secret society. Don't think that they don't, right? You have to get initiated into it. And usually these Grammy Awards shows are when you get initiated. And then usually you see these people wearing these red and black color schemes, right? So this is how these thing works. All right. So Wayfair was basically, this is what they put on their Instagram about my plastic containers after one night of spaghetti, right? So they're endorsing this shit. So it makes you know that allegedly they were fucking carrying kids in those big ass containers, and the conspiracy theory was true. Let's continue going. Doja Cat, The Lady in Red, Tyree Nichols Ritual. This is a video I did. Check that out. Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. But you see Doja Cat again in all red, representing the crystalline attachment to the body, representing spell casting, which we just showed with the red colors already. And the thing that they're putting out here now is these big red clown boots, all right, to show niggas that you guys are clowns. Not you guys, but, you know, average person are clowns. We can make you do what you want to do. We're putting these clown boots on and want to make these trends so that people go out and buy these $350 cloud boots, which is by a company called Mischief. Okay? So they're telling you in your face what they're trying to get you to do, what they're trying to get you into. Mischief. This is mischief right here. This is mischief right here. This is mischief right here. All right? And I see it all over social media. They're trying to make these shits trend. All right? Hey, I'm not saying what you should do with your style or whatever the case is, right? That's not the point. The point is the symbolism, these cartoon shoes, right, that they have on, these red boots, right, which also representing blood, someone stomping you out and blood on their shoes, right? So, again, just look at the colors and also the root chakra, keeping you rooted in fear, keeping you rooted in following society, keeping you rooted in not following your own desires and your own mind and your own passion and your own dreams, keeping you rooted in following the crowd. All right. There's people that follow trends, and they definitely got these boots because that's all they do is follow. Kind of like who we talked about earlier, Monsieur KD, right? Who took the easy way route and went to Golden State to win a championship because he didn't want to lead and be part of his own team, right? And people are not letting him live down because we all saw what a coward move it was, right? At least Kyrie stepped out on his own and said, yo, I'm leaving LeBron. I'm going to go to Boston, right? I'm leaving Boston. I'm going to go back to my hometown of the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, right? But most people are followers, unfortunately. That's just how it is, right? So look at these dates, these portal dates. We're almost done. And you'll see a particular trend that is happening, all right? Now, let's go into... Look at these dates, right? Look at these numbers. So 2/7/23. I started from the 7th, right? This is the day that LeBron passed Kareem. So day 7 + 2 = 9. 2/7/2023 = 7. All right. And look at how these numbers 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Look at these numbers 9, 10, 11, right? But after 11, the 9th is the same day as the solar event started, Thursday. Right, the same day like LeBron was there, that the Lakers were going to play the Bucks, right? This is when the solar event started, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Today, right? It's not, the new day is not until the sun rises. That's when the new day happens. Even though on the clock it says it's a new day, until that sun rises the next day, it's not a new day. So it goes from 9, 10, and 11 on the 9th when these solar events started, which is why I say this is a portal. It's a doorway. K makes an 11. K is the king card. You're the king of your own destiny, whether you're a woman or not, right? This is just masculine energy, not the man per se, but masculine energy. 2, 9, 2 + 2 + 3 = 9, right? Well, this is the same day as the solar events. 2 + 10, 2023, right? So now we have 3, which was yesterday, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Again, 10, 11, 12. So I've never seen anything like this, right? I've never seen this type of numerology just line up this way. You know, this is a portal. This is a time where you could shed any weaknesses. This is a time where you could engage your willpower. This is a portal which started on the 11th, which coincided with the solar events we talked about earlier, where you could shed weaknesses. You could shed things that are holding you back. You could shed people, right, that are not meaning you well. You could create and build new things, right? You could build a new life. Every day you wake up is a chance to reinvent yourself, right? There's a chance to do something new. So don't take that for granted. All right. And you see this number situation all the way up to Valentine's Day, which is a 7 day, right? Which is the day 7 is a number of God. It's the number of the 7 chakras, 7 seas, right? 7 continents, but more importantly, the 7 chakras, right? Tapping into that God force, that God power. So if you got a Valentine's and you go engage in some Valentine's Day loving, right? Then you want to be able to do some sex magic that we talked about earlier, right? But realize that there's a portal that opened on the 11th, right? And then all of a sudden the numbers are ascending. So it's up to you to what you want to do with the energy today, Super Bowl Sunday, tomorrow, Monday, Valentine's Day, and actually this continue goes on for a time. Do your wax on or wax off. You'll see when it ends. I didn't want to list it all here for time's sake, but it's a very interesting pattern how these days are lining up and how these numbers are lining up, and according to the year, how they are ascending in this particular month. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. So this is a portal time. Use it as thou wilt. So this is the King of Hearts portal, a hidden Lion's Gate. Remember, LeBron is considered the king. He wears a lion emblem on his chest. So since the King of Hearts is a high energy card, it signifies honesty, nobility, and truth. It's a card of harmony and balance, which means that all parts are in sync. So this may not be about what you want as it is about your goals, but working to achieve them. Okay? Got to put that willpower into action. All right? You got to put the mind and the body, okay? The mind and the spirit, okay? The logic mixed with the emotion in order to achieve that and see things from a higher future-oriented perspective, from a falcon's eye view where you're seeing the whole landscape, not just the limited perception of you have of your neighborhood or where you live, but how you affect and how you will spread out into the future and how you will affect the world. The King of Hearts can show honesty or sincerity, a sense of justice and fairness for oneself, all right? So being true and just with yourself, right? This is that King of Hearts energy, that Valentine's Day portal, this Valentine's portal that I'm talking about. This card can provide different insight into different aspects of your life and what your future may look like. For example, it can signify a time in which you are able to make major changes or achieve great things with the help of others. And I typed Aquarius here because the Aquarius energy is about the collective, but it's about new adventures, new technology, new mindsets, newness, right? So the major changes in order to achieve great things with the help of others, also the collective, all right? If you don't have a lot of friends, if you don't have people around you, put that energy out. What does it look like with you having a lot of friends? What does it look like with you having a lot of people that support you, that love you, that encourage you, that have constructive criticism? You don't want yes men, right? What does that really look like in your life? All right. And the king could also denote that someone is coming into your life who has these qualities and they bring this energy with them. All right. So again, the King of Hearts is a high energy card, right? We've been seeing this K energy with KD, Kyrie, and the King James, right? So this is this portal, this King of Heart portal that coincides with Valentine's Day. It's all synchronicity, folks. All synchronicity with the sun being in Aquarius at the same time. All right. So screenshot this if you need to. So the gem, have the courage to lead, Lion. Escape your comfort zone. All right. KD's in the comfort zone. Remember, I just want to hoop. I just want to ball. He's in the comfort zone. So his goal as he goes to the Valley of the Suns, which ironically is in Arizona, which ironically is in this where the Super Bowl is being played, which ironically is the same colors, right, that Jill Biden had when she was presented at the Grammys. All right, I'm just showing you all the things that come together. Look at his jersey. Let's go back. The purple, right? The colors, look at the colors. The purple, the reddish, right? The Arizona colors, all right? He's in Arizona. These are the same colors, all right? Super Bowl colors. I'm just showing you what it is. All right, so the number 7 went to Phoenix, right to Arizona, where the Super Bowl is being held. So he will probably change just based on the influence of them being in Arizona and being in Phoenix. Again, the Phoenix is a falcon, all right? The Phoenix is a bird that is rising out of the ashes. So the energy is you shedding the dead weight, escaping your comfort zone, nurturing your own inner light. Okay? Your own inner light. Again, the Super Bowl is on the 43rd day, right? It's a 7 number from Arizona. All right. And if we go, I think it's 12 actually. Super Bowl, yeah, it's a 12 energy, but it's a number 5 again, and 12 energy. So we've talked about the 12 ad nauseum. I ain't gonna say that again. And this is LeBron again, that king energy, that inner king. Now people say this tattoo confirms he's part of the secret society. So what? Right? So what? Who cares? Like, what are you gonna do with that energy? He's doing, if he's part of the secret society, he's doing what he's doing with the energy. What are you gonna do with that energy? How are you gonna lead, Lion? How are you gonna escape your comfort zone? How are you gonna nurture your own inner life for your purpose? All right, that's the main thing. And Lovecraft Country, finally. All right. Well, no, it's not the last. We almost done. But Lovecraft Country, one of the things you want to review, look back at, right? Maybe rewatch before you watch the Super Bowl or as the week goes on. Get into that energy, right? Remember Jonathan Major, he had to make a sacrifice in this, all right? He had to sacrifice for his family, and he sacrificed by spilling his blood. I'm not saying you have to do that, but the same way that they talk about blood rituals and blood sacrifices, right? Don't be afraid to, if you're doing magic, right? Instead of using it to bind someone, get a black candle and put some blood in it so that you could rid yourself of whatever addictions or whatever things are trapping you or have you stuck in a certain mindset or have you trapped in a comfort zone or even have you trapped with a certain relationship that's not working for you, right? Do your own Lovecraft, right? Tap into your own energy, right? Get what you need. Jonathan Majors also did the movie Devotion, which I watched, man. Very emotional movie, man. Devotion was a good movie, very, very emotional. And in this movie also, he sacrificed himself, you know? He sacrificed himself for his mission. I'm not going to go into it fully. You can get that just by watching the thing. But he sacrificed himself for a mission, right? And the fact that it's called Devotion, well, I won't get into it. I don't want to spoil it for you. But the fact that it's called devotion, let's use this just to say it means, what are you devoted to? You know, are you devoted to the highest version of yourself, or you just want to be a normie? Do you just want to be a regular person that impresses your friends with knowledge? And we know he also, when he followed Kang, followed his purpose, right? He became he who remains. And you see the yellow right here on his heart, right? We've been talking about these colors. You see his heart chakra is radiated, because he who remains is going to be he who follows his purpose and he who leaves something behind for not only his family, but for the world as a reflection of his own inner light and following your own inner light. And that's what makes you a king or makes you a king. All right. Also, when him wearing the color green, which corresponds to the heart chakra, and the color blue, which corresponds to the third eye and the throat chakra. So speaking your way into existence, and the scars that he has for trauma. I really can't wait to watch this movie, especially since I've seen it has a pyramid in it. I can't wait to break it down, decode it. I think there's going to be a lot of messaging in it, and because I know how Marvel does, and I really can't wait to watch it. So tap into these Jonathan Major movies, right? Loki series, things like that. Myth, you're a myth, right? Rob Blackstorm is a myth. Rob Watson is a myth, right? That's not who I am. Really, who I am is infinite. Who I am is boundless. I have trillions of cells in my body that have been here since the beginning of time. I am made of stardust that has been here since the beginning of time. So I am not what I label myself, right? I am the all. I am he who remains. You are he who remains, right? You will always be here. There is no beginning, no end, right? Just like Henrietta Lacks her HeLa cells, right? Her HeLa cells, Henrietta Lacks cells, they were used to fight polio. They're used to fight many diseases because they don't die. How many of us melanated beings have HeLa cells inside of us and we don't know? Right? The HeLa cells came about by accident. One of the family members was on a field trip and found a jar with Henrietta Lacks' name on it. But how many of us undiscovered have HeLa cells in us? How many of us have went raw, right, in sex and that have suffered no diseases? Me personally, I've never had an STD or anything like that, right? But I've definitely played the juggling ball and rolled the dice. You know what I'm saying? I generally try to tend to pick partners with good vibrations, though I will say that. But I've definitely rolled the dice, right? So I might have some healer cells in me when I pass away. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say you may also. So tap into those healer cells, tap into that infinite knowledge of your ancestors. And the only way you could do that is by tapping into your inner magic and realizing that you are a king, realizing that you are a queen, realizing that you are a god, realizing that you are a goddess. And that will bring you to the point of he who remains. All right. And remember, Kang was also a scientist. All right. If you understand the Marvel law, he was also a scientist. And this is your Lovecraft. All right. Valentine's Day energy, right? This is your love craft. This is you crafting yourself with love, but not the love of something else, the love of yourself. Loving yourself. Truly loving yourself is to know truth, is to live truth. Truly loving yourself is living your truth unapologetically. Unapologetically, whatever that truth is. So reveal, release, and renew before bed. There's a mantra tapping you into that Het Heru / Oshun energy, which is right here. It's called Om Kling. All right. Breathe in Om Kling. Breathe out Om Kling. All right. This is going to tap you into the solar energy. This was a download that I got to give to y'all. So take it for what it's worth. Screenshot it after this video. Shit. Get into your meditation, man. Dive in. See what the spirit has for you. All right. Learn how to meditate. Very important. You're not going to get to where you want to get if you don't meditate. I'm just telling you now, right? You might get physically rich, you might get a lot of money, but your soul is still going to be missing something. Just like a lot of these people that are rich, wealthy, or famous, still soul is missing something. And never forget, let me bring this up. So the sweet waters of Oshun, we're tapping in. This is what's happening right now. Let me read this real quick. So it's with the Northeast, February 5th to March 21. I told you there's a portal. All right, bro, hopefully. It says you are fully rehoisted by the inner and outer waters. Body is warming up with the gentle, fructifying psychic heat of Heru. These are your pleasant dreams. The most important meaning of dreams is in regards to their emotional content. Pleasant, joyful dreams presage success, and turbulent, dark, troubled dreams are portents of difficulty or signs of difficulty. Understand that they are the signs of the gestation of the beliefs you have accepted to control your dreams, and hence what you manifest in your life. Take into mediumistic trance every night what you want to see manifesting in your life. So my dreams lately have been crazy. My dreams lately have been off the hook. My dreams lately have been like super lucid, and they've been battles, right? Like literally battles for the soul. I had one dream I'll share with y'all where I was in a music conference. It was only for a certain amount of people, like elite people. And this music conference, it was crazy because I was in this music conference. And this music conference, there was Shannon Sharp. But it wasn't Shannon Sharp. He had on like an AI mask, right? And it was just Shannon Sharp smiling. It was weird, right? And they had an AI mask, and he was with somebody else. I feel like it was a family member of his, right? But they both had on AI masks, right? Sterling Sharp, actually. It was Sterling Sharp. And they both had on like these AI masks with smiles on. And they were trying to get me to leave the event. And he was like, "Oh, let me put this collar on you, right? Let me put this collar on you." And I had to like fight him to take the collar off. You know what I'm saying? I had to battle to get the collar off. So, and I've been having these dreams where I've been like, and I've been victorious in my dreams. But I don't know if you've been having these type of dreams lately. But if you have, look at the dreams, analyze the dreams, make sure that the dreams are actually, you know, make sure that you are the dreams, what they're showing you and what they're telling you, that you're paying heed to them, looking up the symbolism. And if you're having bad dreams, there's signs that you have more work to do. If you're having good dreams and you're victorious, there's signs still that you not say you're off the hook, but it means that you are working, and your truth, and like it says here, your true self will try to warn you. All right. So to successfully interpret your dreams, review the emotions that you habitually accept throughout your life. Your dreams are their gestation or messages from your true self, deities, and ancestors regarding the course of your life. All right. So this is the sweet waters of Oshun. Again, LeBron is 6 letters. Love is king. All right. So this is the 2 of cups. This is the emotions. As you see, it transforms into a lion. We just saw LeBron have the lion on his chest right here. LeBron lion energy. All right. Representing the heart. So this lion energy is the same as the lover's card. All right. When you love yourself, that's the only way you could really get love from others. Everyone that you meet is only a mirror reflection of you. All right. Just like they're holding these 2 of the same cups, it's the same thing. When you're really in love with someone and it's Valentine's Day coming up, right? And you're tapping into this portal, make sure you are in love with yourself. Make sure you love the good and bad parts of yourself. Make sure you're nurturing yourself and planting a seed, right? To nurture, bring the best part of yourself. Now, you can't plant a seed without going out into the soil, digging up the dirt, right? And putting the seed in. But first, you got to dig up the dirt so you can plant the seed, right? So plant a seed, you know what I'm saying? And move your body, all right? Get your body moving. Become active, right? Become active. Start walking. Do some yoga, right? Get in a gym, right? Get active. Move your body. Stop just sitting around. You need to generate, the heart needs to move, right? You need to generate energy in order for the chi to move. So get active, all right? And when you use these emotions and stir up these emotions, make sure you're not using it to become arrogant, but you're using it for a genuine love of self. And when you truly love yourself, you love others because everyone is a reflection of you. And when you hate yourself, you hate others. When you're scared of other people, you're scared of the world. You're fearful of the world. You're fearful of the world around you because you are internally scared, right? So love of yourself brings forth courage. It brings forth transformation, right? But as you see, these are trees on the lover's card that are growing. So these are seeds that need to be planted, right? Eve, this is the internal self, the snake, right? And this is the atoms or the atomic self, the active self, right? So this is the Kundalini snake within, right? This is the external portion of a tree that is growing, right? And you see the lion is right here, and this is the 6 card, which again ties into the 6 energy. Now that I've completed this long ass live, now that I've completed this long ass live, shout out to the spiritual homie coming in. All right, so we're gonna do a little ritual right now, and yeah, let's do this ritual. We're gonna do a live ritual and tap into this heart energy real quick. So let's do this. You're gonna tap your heart as this pops up. You're gonna tap your heart, right? Mute my mic, but tap. Oh, thank you, CM1. Shout out to Moonlight for coming in the building. I appreciate you. Shout out to Straight Panther. Shout out to everybody who's here. I know this is a long live. I know it's not short, 12, 13, 15 minutes. Shows your attention span is better than the average, right? Hopefully this little mini ritual gave you some energy, gave you some power to your visions, gave you some power to what you want to let go. And you could take this song, right, and do this after, you get off this live, right? And manifest. That's right. Straight Panther has it right? So mote it be, right? Create it, innovate it, right? Use the solar energy that we talked about earlier. As Moonlight said, bless up yourself, big up your blood clot self, right? Love up yourself, right? Even if you don't have a Valentine's, man, if you got somebody next to you, man, that you love, man, tell them you love them. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with love. We think that love is a bad thing. We've been taught that being loving is weak, but loving is the strongest thing you could do, but you got to first love yourself before you love someone else. But there's nothing wrong with showing someone else that you love them, and nothing wrong with being loving to someone else, right? People always want to get things and get something out of someone and manipulate someone, right? People turn into narcissists because they don't and haven't received love. So they only know how to manipulate people out of love. But be genuine, show love, even if they're not right showing it back immediately. You still gonna get that back from the universe. Never look at getting things back from man or getting things back from humanity when you're doing the right thing. And being right, I'm talking about being fair, right? Being righteous is basically being fair, being just. Never look at getting that back from a person or thinking that person owes you. Now, if you're with somebody, do they deserve to treat you right? Absolutely. You don't want to be with somebody that's treating you wrong or talking down on you or making you feel like dirt, right? Just because you want to be with people that encourage you, enlighten you, right? And also can give you constructive criticism when you need it, right? But you don't want to be in a situation to where you're not giving love because you're scared. This whole video is all about breaking fear, right? It's all about releasing fear. It's all about you falling in love with yourself first and foremost, and then you being able to give love to each other with this particular portal, right? So you got to be brave. You have to have the proper mindset, right? And the mind, and where you doing these particular affirmations on a religious basis, right? Not religion, but religious, right? Where this becomes a lifestyle. So you could see these things that you want to see come into your life. Peace. I remember, I think, I forgot who said this the other day, but peace is the flex. Peace is the new flex. Peace of mind is the new flex. If you're around people and you don't have peace of mind, then you need to get the fuck from away from them. Period, point blank. Don't hesitate. This is the portal where will have the ability to break away. And if you can't break away right away, at least come up with a plan so that you could eventually break away from them. And you be the light that you want to see in this world. Don't look for somebody else to be the light that you want to see in the world. It's your responsibility to be the light you want to see in the world. And with that being said, it's almost a 3-hour live, so I appreciate the patience. Some of y'all been here for over 2 hours on a Saturday night. You could be doing anything else, but you're rocking with your boy, Rob Black Storm. Like, share, subscribe. Oh, I do have a book out, Occult Magic Mastery, right? If you want to get a signed copy, hold on, let me turn off this motherfucking green screen so y'all can see me clear. See the book clear, right? You want to get a copy of Occult Magic Mastery, right? There's all sorts of techniques and magical tricks you could do, right? Moonlight, she's from the Caribbean. She probably knows half of this shit on the back of her head, right? But we deal with obsession, suppression, possession, difference between a sorcerer, a wizard, a witch, magician, twin flame, right? Soulmate, soul ties, the difference, tantric sex, blood magic, protection and clothing. What is voodoo? What is hoodoo? Demonology, demons and magic, meditation, astral travel, spiritual cleansing for the home and body, spells and petition, how to charge works, how to remove works, Egyptian magic, the ancestral realm, the difference between an altar and a shrine. This is great for the beginner, right? It's a signed copy. You could email me. Let me put the banner up. Or you could just check my, I'm shipping books out next weekend. So if you order the book, I have let you know that already. Shout out to everybody who bought some hoodies, right? The hoodies I already sent out the tracking to everybody. So if you ordered a hoodie, shout out to you. but you can get the book. There's author copies. There's very limited left. I had a good amount of people, so shout out to you who ordered it, the author copies, but there's a limited amount left. It's $30 for a signed copy. You can email me. The email is down there, or you can just check my channel. You'll see the email down there as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Hopefully this live ritual was simple enough and meditative enough for you to harness this vision. And with that said, peace, power, and prosperity to you all. Rob Blackstorm, one love.